Open the gates. Let them in. Track teams are welcome here. 121 schools represented, getting off the bus. Hayward Field, Eugene, Oregon. Tracktown, USA, hosting the NCAA Outdoor Championships for the 21st time. Hallowed ground for all who run, jump, and throw. A perfect evening. Comfortable temperatures. No clouds allowed. Just enough breeze to keep things fresh. The premier female college athletes. It's women's qualifying day at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. A full evening and night of competition here on ESPN2. Women have the day, save for the second day of decathlon events. Those dudes have been going since 10:45 this morning. 5 field event finals and 1 on the track in the 10,000. Then women's final day is Saturday. That'll close out the meet in between the men's championship day. That comes your way tomorrow, all of it ESPN2 starting at 5 p.m. That is the time and the place. Welcome everyone to historic Hayward Field, which is the Yankee Stadium, the Lambeau Field of track and field. Here's the thing though, they fixed this place up all nice. It's remarkable. They did that a few years ago for the World Championships, but I think they messed up. There's only 9 lanes, and I looked at some of the heat sheets and the sprints, and we need like 12 lanes or more to get all of the best athletes through. And that can't happen, which means somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt. In the team race, well, we get one champion, and it could be the home team, right? The Oregon Ducks, they certainly have people participating in this event, but more likely, it's Georgia and Florida. And those two schools, ranked 1 and 2 in the nation, have been trading championships. Florida taking the conference titles, Georgia winning the Biggie and the national championships. We will have a great battle between those two SEC schools. Coaches Mike Holloway and Carol Smith-Gilbert, they will have their women ready. It will be a show. And if you have a show, you got to have a tell, which means we got our booth upstairs with Dwight Stones, Dan O'Brien, and Lara Overton. Gang?
All right, John. Well, I'm still vibrating from that world record yesterday, an electric race that we've not seen ever before in the 100 hurdles, 110 hurdles. But today is Ladies' Day, and you said Georgia and Florida. Those are the teams to watch, with Oregon a possible sneaker into if they do everything right. And as I look at Georgia and Florida, Dan, Georgia really dependent on sprints and hurdles. Florida, a much more balanced attack. It's going to be interesting to see how many they get through.
Well, you got to pick your poison. Tale of two teams, really. Florida gets it done with balance. They've got throwers. They've got jumpers. We're going to see them featured in the sprints, but they also got some long-distance runners as well. But you're absolutely right when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs. They get it done with their speed. There you see a Deja Hodge on the left. Top 100-meter, top 200-meter sprinter in the country this year. And then on the far right, Gabby Matthews. What a season she's having. Transferred over. Here she is now in the Florida Gator in the 100-meter. She won the SEC title there, but we're going to see her in the 200 meters as well. And then Jamisha Ford, Tim Hall, and she said everything they did up to this point in the season is leading to what happens this week, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to see all 3 of them right off the bat in the 4x1.
And John mentioned that there's one track final tonight. That's the 10,000 meters, and it's going to be a classic confrontation between really great athletes. It could be tactical or it could be fast.
The finale will be electric because it features the 2 fastest women in collegiate history over 10,000 meters. BYU's Jane Hendegren and New Mexico's Pamela Kosgei. They each have multiple NCAA titles to their credit and records on their resumes. Jane Hendegren swept the indoor NCAA titles over the 3,000 and 5,000 meter distances. She's the collegiate record holder at the 10,000 and 5,000 meters outdoors, as well as the 5,000 meters indoors. 1 year ago, Pamela Kosgei swept the 10 and the 5 and also set the NCAA meet record at 10,000 meters in the process. It will be fireworks for the 10,000 meter final at the end of the night.
But it all starts off as usual with the 4x100 meter relay, 3 semifinal heats. Texas has the meet and NCAA records from 3 years ago. And we're focusing on heat number 1, LSU, that will be starting in lane number 7.
Well, let's keep an eye on that anchor leg for the LSU Tigers. They've run really well this season. SEC outdoor champs, they know how to get the baton around, but Shanti Jackson will anchor there for the LSU Tigers. And Texas A&M, they were 3rd place last year at these championships. They got a couple of veterans on this team in Jasmine Montgomery, former Oregon Duck, now running for the Aggies, and Cameron Dixon, their best 100-meter, 200-meter sprinter. She'll run second leg for Texas A&M. Keep an eye on the University of Oregon down there in lane 4. And Clemson as well has run really well this season, 42-48. We'll see Clemson probably in the mix here as well.
Their lane assignments, the way they'll qualify through to Saturday's final is the top 2 finishers in each of these semifinal heats will be automatically qualified through to Saturday. Then the next 3 fastest times over the 3 heats that were not in the top 2. So, like everything today, it's survive and advance.
Set.
A&M in 6, LSU in 7. Those are the teams to watch in this first semifinal heat. And they're very even early in the going.
Well, good start for Duke there on the outside in lane 9, and a nice pass there from Mia Edom to Maya Collins. But keep an eye on LSU now with the gold top and the purple bottoms.
LSU and A&M now through the final turn. Got to keep that baton moving, keep it in the zone. A&M out front, LSU, they have separated themselves from the rest of the field. Those are going to be your automatic qualifiers, but it's going to be LSU winning the heat, A&M second. 42-38 for LSU. 42-52 for A&M, and the rest of the field well back.
Well, that was some really nifty running by Texas A&M. Real solid exchanges. There we see them with the white top and the crimson bottoms. LSU got a good start as well. Athalea Hinkson goes for LSU. Then here's Cameron Dixon. Great second leg for Cameron Dixon and the Texas A&M Aggies. There you see the second exchange one more time, but Texas A&M, they had a lead here going into this final exchange, but it's Shanti Jackson, and it's just one-on-one. Jasmine Montgomery for Texas A&M, and Shanti Jackson. Jasmine Montgomery's got a couple of strides, but look at Shanti Jackson and the strength and the power overtake her and take the heat victory. Shanti Jackson is back after a couple years of serious surgeries. She's really exploded back onto the scene this season, now running for the LSU Tigers. She looks absolutely phenomenal.
So A&M and LSU automatically advancing. That's a season best for the Aggies. They'll be happy about that. They've got lanes on in Saturday's final. Moving along to heat number 2, and in lane number 6, it's the defending champion ladies of Troy, women of Troy from USC.
Well, this squad is absolutely loaded. Deja DeFran, she'll lead off. Mia Brahe Pedersen will run that second leg. She's been on this relay all season long. And then the superstar Madison White will go third. And then one of the favorites in the 100 meters, Brianna Selby, she'll anchor, just a sophomore. But Deja DeFran, we know her to be a great starter. She won the 60-meter indoor championship last season. The USC Lady Trojans just always show up year in and year out. Really solid team there. Can't miss them in that gold either. There's Madison White. Oh, excuse me. That is Madison White. We're seeing a Tennessee panel right there. But Tennessee will just pick it to the outside of USC. But this is an absolutely loaded heat. There's the Georgia Bulldogs. There's Kayla Jackson. Her final season as a Bulldog, she'll lead off. Outstanding starter, she's so consistent. All she does is make finals. Expect Georgia to run very well here. They've gone 42-40, 42-12 for USC. And then Tennessee in lane 7, they've gone 42-63. Lauren Jarrett will lead off for Tennessee. Sydney Wright will anchor for the volunteer squad. I talked to Dwayne Ross just prior to these competitions getting started. And he said, we expect our athletes to come here and perform at a high level. When you get recruited to the University of Tennessee, it is mandatory that you come in here understanding what the SEC is all about and what the NCAA championship requires of you as a track and field athlete. There you see the lineup. Keep an eye on Texas as well, down there in lane 4. The record holders, the meet record holders, the NCAA champion. You think about that team, Julian Alfred. Whew, that was a squad.
Georgia set their school record 3 different times this year. The last back-to-back winners are from Texas in 2022 and 2023. Tennessee has not reached the final since 2016, 10 years since the Volunteers have made the final in the 4x1 at this meet. So the defending champion Trojans, bookended by Georgia on their inside, Tennessee on their outside. Good start for Deja DeFran. Very even between those three contending teams. Decent, safe exchanges for all three.
Well, Deja Hodge goes on the second leg for the Georgia Bulldogs. Look at her gobble up the meters there. Looks like she's going to put Georgia into the lead here going to the third exchange.
Georgia with a good lead into the middle of the turn. One exchange remaining. Southern Cal now coming back. Sonny Carter had to slow up for the baton. Here she comes. It's very close at the finish. Southern Cal does hold off Georgia. They are the two automatic qualifiers. And they run a collegiate leading time, 41.95, the only team in the country under 42 seconds in the relay. School record for the Trojans. Now officially 41.96. Georgia right there at 42 flat. The fourth school record for the Bulldogs.
Well, look at this run. Kayla Jackson-Garrett goes in the middle with the top, black top and the red bottoms. But Deja DeFran, outstanding run. There you see here. Brahe Pedersen for USC, but Deja Hodge, look at Deja Hodge there for the Georgia Bulldogs. Really make a move. Made up the stagger on practically everyone right there. But watch Kayla White now for the Trojans. Long strides around the turn there. And see what makes her such an effective 200-meter runner. And almost exact timing. Actually, it was interesting. The Georgia Bulldogs got the baton first, but they were still behind. But watch Brianna Selby now just hold her position against Jasani Carter. But look at those times. School record, season best, and just outside of a school record for Tennessee, running 42.46. We'll keep an eye on the time, see if they can squeeze into the finals.
I have to tell you, Georgia's second and third exchanges were really not good at all, which should be encouraging because they just were 0.04 of a second behind at the end. They clean up those exchanges. It's going to be a heck of a race on Saturday between these two teams. At 42.46, Tennessee should get through. 43.11 is the bubble. That's the time that the teams in this final heat need to be under if they're not automatic qualifiers. So third and final semifinal. It's the other USC in lane 6, University of South Carolina, Gamecocks.
Well, there's Jamisha Ford. She'll run the anchor leg. I believe that's what they have her listed as here. Can't miss her lovely hairstyle. Both her and Kayla Garrett always come into these meets with great looking hairstyles. You can spot them a mile away, but Jamisha Ford, we're going to see her here in the 4x1. We'll see her in the open 100 and the 200 as well. But Jamisha Ford, she looked like she was getting into the blocks there, but that's just how she starts. There's Florida State out there in lane 8, and their all-star sprinter, Shanice Walker, the senior, one of the favorites also in the 100 meters. She'll run on that second leg. And she had an edge on Deja Hodge at the East Regions, misjudged the finish. Deja Hodge scored it out in front of her for that 100-meter win, but that's just good how good Shanice Walker is and has been this season. But they go with Lucy Mae Sleeman off the blocks there in lane 8. And then the Howard Bison go down in lane 4. They've run 43.23 this year, 43.08 their school record. Watch that time. We've seen some really fast times already today. I wouldn't be surprised if the Howard Bison could come away with a new school record. They are the MEAC champions, and here they find themselves in the mix with some of the best teams in the country.
On your marks.
Here's the lane assignment. South Carolina, though they've made the final the last 3 years, have not won this race since 2002. And going back to that second semifinal, USC only the second time in history for a team to go under 42 seconds. South Carolina in 6, Florida State in 8.
Set.
Alexis Brown for South Carolina making up the stagger on the TCU athlete to her outside. Another safe pass.
But there goes Shanice Walker for Florida State on the outside. What a second leg that was.
Good pass there on the outside for Florida State. Here comes South Carolina.
Kamora Lee Williams now will pass to Jamisha Ford. Good pass there.
And Jamisha Ford is just gone. Florida State will be happy to get that second automatic qualifier, but South Carolina just blisters this third semifinal heat. 42-44 for South Carolina. Florida State gets a school record with 43-23. Let's check that. I've got a different time for their school record. But more importantly, they will get an automatic qualifying spot with that second place finish. No time qualifiers out of this heat.
Well, and it's really interesting. Jamisha Ford there was kind of slowing down. We'll take a look. We'll take a look at the race here. Alexis Brown to Centuria James for South Carolina. They've been running great relays, clear back in the Curtis Fry days. Centuria James, though, real solid on that second leg. We didn't get a chance to see Shanice Walker for Florida State, but she had a tremendous second leg as well. And then Kamora Lee Williams just put the pressure on around the turn on that third leg to Jamisha Ford, who has just done so much for the South Carolina Gamecock squad. And she loaded up with events last year. She's going to do the same this year. 4x1, 100 meters, 200 meters, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in the 4x4 later tonight. But she looks fit, she looks healthy, and she looks determined this season.
Solid run for South Carolina, their 4th year in a row advancing through to the final, close to a season best for Jamisha Ford and her squad. There are your qualifiers through to Saturday's final. 9 teams, 9 lanes, 8 score. Remember that, only 8 score in these races. So we are done with the 4x100 meter relays. And we see the 1500 meter runners making their way over to the start line for that event. We'll have 2 heats of the 1500 when we return to Eugene. We are back in Eugene, ready now for 2 heats, 2 semifinal heats in the women's 1500. They're in the meet and NCAA records. Jenny Behringer, now Simpson, the only collegian to ever rake 4 minutes in the 1500. And the advancing is first 5 across the line out of the 2 heats, and then the next 2 fastest as we look at Rosemary Longuisa. She'll be out of lane number 4, Washington State. She is the collegiate leader and the number 2 time in history.
What a last 4 months it has been for Rosemary Longuisa. She was the runner-up indoors in the miles at the NCAA championships to Oregon's Wilma Nilsson, who is also in this heat. Then she runs that collegiate leading 4:02:55. She also has been sub 2 minutes over 800 meters this outdoor season. Coaches say her talent, her training has always been there. Now she's putting that championship racing together. And the aforementioned Wilma Nilsson of Oregon, back-to-back NCAA indoor championships. First to do that since Susie Favor. And although we mentioned that Rosemary Longuisa is the collegiate leader, Wilma Nilsson has actually run faster at this distance, but it was indoors running 4:01:60 back in February.
So the premium is on finishing in the top 5 in this heat, expending as little energy as possible, just getting through to Saturday's final.
Allie Zealand up there from Liberty, alongside Nielsen of Oregon and Chloe Forrester from Washington. Forrester has been a factor at this NCAA championships before, advanced to the final, finished 8th just last year. Starting to see, too, On the outside there, that is Immaculate Gemitai of Kansas, along with Longisa of Washington State. Immaculate Gemitai has a tough task today. She is going to double in the 15 and the 800. Those are titles that she swept at the conference meet, so indicated to the coaches that she was capable of handling those double duties. That's really tough at the NCAA championships to do, so awesome to see her competing in both of those events.
The only athlete in this meet to do so, and that is a daunting task. There is a reasonable amount of time, easy for me to say, between the two events. We'll certainly be paying attention to how she does and how she recovers from this 1500.
65 seconds through that first 400 meters. You can see how they've very comfortably settled in there behind Ali Zeeland, who has taken those lead duties, and Longisa is in fantastic position. I talked with Washington State coach Wayne Phipps about her, and he said it's really been perfect relationship between Rosemary and distance coach Laura Harmon. They've worked really well together, and they have just seen Rosie, as he calls her, development week by week, season by season. She's just been training incredibly consistently, and that's showing when she steps on the track. He told me at some points in practice, they have to have the men run workouts with Rosemary because of how fast those workouts are going and the training that she is doing, that aerobic capacity that she has built up.
The field seems to be happy with Ali Zeeland's pace. She slowed it down a little bit in the second lap, 68 after a 65. Zeeland, Longisa, Nielsen.
Easy to keep your eyes on Nielsen of Oregon in that all green, and chatted earlier today with her coach Shalane Flanagan, and she explained that Wilma had a bit of illness that she battled after the indoor season, after she won and defended her NCAA indoor title. So she's really coming into form, but just a little bit behind where she has typically been at this point in the outdoor season. However, she said that championship racing experience, that acumen that she has for championships and finding that nose for the line, that can really overcome some of that to this point.
She is in a bit of a box right now as we come up to the bell. Zeeland is continuing to lead Longisa right next to her, not really giving Nielsen any room to run. And a possible tragedy with regards to athletes wanting to start to make a move here pretty soon. Here's her chance now to break out of that box.
No one knows this track better than she does in this field, that is for sure. As you see, she surges alongside Longisa down the backstretch. And one thing to look out for with Wilma Nielsen is the fact she has a great 800-meter background and real instincts for racing. Also, North Carolina State freshman Sadie Engelhardt fighting her way up to the front alongside Florida's Tia Wilson.
Longisa, Nielsen, Engelhardt. Remember, it's the top 5 who automatically qualify. That's where you want to be. Hansen of BYU is also there. There's that group of 5. If it stays this way, they all will advance to Saturday's final. Longisa will end up winning the heat, but everybody safely across a group of 5. Easy enough to identify. 4:06.41 for Longisa. So Zeeland did a great job of pacing.
Closing out in 62.5 seconds. Thanks to those lead duties of Rosemary Longisa to quicken that pace over the final 400. Really impressed with the finish of Sadie Engelhardt. She was 3rd at the NCAA Indoor Championships just a few weeks ago. Very smart racing execution for her over the last 200 meters as well.
So Rosie Longisa easily through. Smart running, safe running. There are the results. Sadie Engelhardt 2nd. Wilma Nielsen ends up 3rd. She did a good job of getting out of that problem that she had. And remember, the top 5 moving forward. The bubble is 4:08.52 with Elizabeth Whaley. As we go to John for some highlights from yesterday.
And there were several, actually, but the one that took the cake, of course, was the work of Jacoby Tharp. He sent a jolt through the stadium and really around the world. That's no joke. 110 hurdle race, 12:75, a new world record. He said he didn't mean to do it. I told him he didn't need to apologize. Still has to win the chip. That race tomorrow. Sent him a text. He said, I did a little shakeout today, then off my feet the rest of the day. 12:75, first world record in 50 years at this meet. Haptem Samuel, the NCAA cross-country champ, won his second 10,000-meter title. He controlled the race from up front right until he didn't. Like he begged someone else to lead, and when they didn't, he all but slowed down and walked. Got back into things with 2 laps to go and then sprinted away from the field in the last 100 meters. Again, won it 2 years ago, second last year, and the champ, and he will be back and ready to go in the 5,000 tomorrow. And then a little work from the home team. In the shot put, we got a duck, Ben Smith, pride of the Fox River Valley in Wisconsin, just a freshman. Chucks that thing out there 69 feet a half inch. Again, a freshman. He won by more than 2 feet over the competition. Excellent work by him. Shout out, though, to get well soon to Tarek Robinson O'Hagan, who broke his leg and could not be here. Men's standings after 6 events, which means we've got 15 more to sort this thing out tomorrow. But right now, Nebraska on top at 28. There, the Ducks had a very nice opening day with 18. And Arkansas ranked number 1 in the country there. Currently T4 with 14 points. And a few guys through. They made things tighter than it probably was supposed to be come tomorrow. So tune in, 5 o'clock ESPN2. It'll be worth the watch. Men's finals day. Back upstairs. Dwight.
All right, John, ready now for the second semifinal heat in this women's 1,500 meters. This heat featuring Juliet Shrubet of Oregon. And this is one of the events where they really need to score some points if they want to press on Georgia and Florida.
Juliet, one of 2 Ducks in this second heat. She was the Big Ten Outdoor 1,500-meter champion and then set a 3-second personal best to qualify for the NCAA championships coming out of that West quarterfinal. Her teammate, there you have Shalon Ayildiz, the senior. She is a 5-time Big Ten champion between indoor and outdoors, including 5,000 and mile titles earlier this year at the conference indoor championships. Incredible racing experience that she brings in. And then you talked about team implications and the distance factor for the Florida Gators. Claire Stegall, a huge part of that.
Stegall's teammate Tia Wilson already through from the first heat.
And just a few weeks ago, we saw Claire Stegall. We talked about Immaculate Gematide doubling. Well, Claire Stegall, as a freshman, doubled in the 1,500 and the 800 at the SEC championships. She was 3rd in the 1,500 and 6th in the 800 in an incredibly difficult conference championship and her first outdoor conference championship.
By the way, the bubble is 4:08.52. If you are not an automatic qualifier, that means if you're not in the top 5 in this heat, you need to run faster than 4:08.52 if you want to advance. So Haley Burns of Northern Arizona in the early lead with Claire Stegall right there on her shoulder, the freshman. This is her first national championship outdoors.
She did qualify indoors for the mile at the national championship, finishing 10th, gained great experience through that, and you can see just how much sharper that she was when she got outdoors. 65.5 through the first 400, so just about a half second slower than we saw that first heat. A bit more tactical as we now start to see the Ducks moving toward the front. That's Juliet Cherubit now alongside Claire Stegall, and Shalane Flanagan, women's distance coach for the Ducks, said that Juliet is in the best form she has ever been in. She's really starting to figure out racing execution and improving tactically, as we're seeing Tennessee's Mary Owaka begin to factor in up front.
And we see the pace slow down considerably as you see almost half the field out into lane number 2. Ayildiz now in Oregon, but started at South Carolina.
And Oregon had 3 of their athletes all in the same heat at the prelim to qualify here for the championships, and Coach Flanagan said that was the best racing we've seen all season long, was having those 3 working in tandem. And she said that she told him basically, this is the same type of feel that you're going to get, the same circumstances at NCAA finals, so get through this and we'll know exactly what we need to do at nationals. She explained that they really navigated it beautifully. This has been incredibly pedestrian for the last 400 meters at 75 seconds. So that's why you're seeing so much bunching and so many athletes going so wide out into lane 2.
That's not good news, it is good news for the 6th and 7th placers from heat number 1 who are likely to get through on time now that this pace has slowed so much. Stegall clearly picking up the pace as she takes over the lead. Cherubit right there on her shoulder.
As we're starting to see things quicken just a bit, keep your eyes on Salma El-Badra, who is in the all-black uniform from South Carolina. To the left side there on the outside of Juliet Cherubit. She swept the conference indoor mile and outdoor 1,500 meter titles this year. She actually owns the personal best among the athletes in this field, having run 4:02.63. So not so far off what we saw Rosemary Longuisa run this season, an incredibly strong runner. She has incredible range as they went 63 seconds through the last 400. These paces are all over the place.
The sprint is on. Again, you want to be in the top 5 to automatically qualify. Stegall on the rail, not giving an inch. El-Badra behind her.
That's Carmen Alder from BYU, who has fought her way to the front.
BYU and from Ecuador. And there are a lot of runners now vying for those 5 spots. Alder leads. El-Badra is there. Here comes Cherubit. We're losing Claire Stegall. And on the inside, the early leader, Haley Burns of Northern Arizona. She goes through on the rail and ends up winning the heat, 4:09.48 with a 61-second last lap. Cherubit in there easily, Ildiz as well, so both ducks through. El-Badra also through, and then Carmen Alder, Claire Stegall, the freshman, out. She will not advance. That is not good news for Mike Holloway's Florida Gators.
They went so tactical in this one. It really left it up to so much chance. They left everyone in it until the final 400 meters. Carmen Alder charges out to the front, and now you see that closing speed that Salma El-Badra has. Also, watch the finish from Shalon Ayildiz, tapping into some of that 5,000 meter strength that she has to get up there alongside her teammates. The Ducks knew the assignment. The mantra this week has been party at our house. The Ducks are not going to let anyone else steal the party with the way these 1,500 meter athletes ran through. All 3 of those athletes scored in the final of the NCAA meet indoors, looking to do the same now outdoors. And
the fact of the matter is that Claire Stegall throwing in that 63-second lap probably cost her a qualifying spot. So you live and you learn. She's a freshman. This will be a good experience for her. The top 5 automatically advanced. There are no time qualifiers out of heat number 2. Here are your advancers, a couple of pages worth, as they are looking for a 12-person final, basically cutting the field in half. We didn't mention that these athletes qualified here through a West Regional that was held in Arkansas and an East Regional in Kentucky a couple weeks ago. 12 athletes from each of those regionals. That's why we have 24 athlete fields. All right, after that housekeeping, when we come back, it'll be the steeplechase semifinals. Women's steeplechase, there are the meet and NCAA records. Doris Lemon-Goulet, certainly the GOAT of this event at the collegiate level, not running it here, deciding to just run the 5,000. So it's wide open in the women's steeplechase. Same qualifying, first 5 across the line, plus the next 2 times over the 2 semifinals is Sydney Mescarelli of North Carolina. Set the PB, her personal best school record, earning top qualifier from her quarterfinal.
She also ran a leg this outdoor season on North Carolina's distance medley relay that set the collegiate record at the Penn Relays. Battled some injuries the last few years, so Coach Chris Miltenberg is excited to have her back on the track and in contention at the NCAAs. Looking here at Kate Stewart-Barnett from Michigan State, who has dominated the Big Ten in this event 3 separate times, the Big Ten champion in this steeplechase. She was 6th in this event last year, and Dwight set her personal best and the Michigan State school record here at the NCAA championships. Also in this field, Julie Linder. She was third at the ACC Championships behind Sophie Novak and Angelina Napoleon, who we will see in the second heat. Linder's making her NCAA debut, but last year she was the European U20 silver medalist.
20-year-old freshman from Bamberg, Germany. 12 athletes who will bypass the water jump the first time around. And just like the 1500, first 5 finishers across the line automatically qualifying to Saturday's final, and then the next 2 fastest times over the 2 semifinal heats. So a big premium on being in that first 5 and punching your ticket to Saturday's final.
Caitlin Stewart-Barnett up to the front alongside Sydney Mascarelli. And we mentioned with Doris Lemon-Golay, the collegiate record holder and NCAA meet record holder, opting for the 5,000. We will see her on Saturday. Not only is this event wide open, the way that the heats shook out, this first heat is really wide open with the times and the way that everything has seeded for this event. And you can see they're just settling in, and they're going to be very conservative. When you have to run 2 steeplechase events in the span of 3 days, you're really going to be strategic in how you navigate this. And Dwight, it was really interesting yesterday. We saw the men in qualifying struggling early. We saw Joffrey Kerwa from Louisville run into the water jump barrier. We saw Cole Mathieson of Colorado hit a barrier on the straightaway, just run right into it. So in talking to a few of the coaches, they have really directed the athletes to make sure that they have clear running going into the barriers as they approach the first water jump of this competition.
Slow pace is even a bigger problem in the steeplechase, because when you bunch up, you still have barriers that you have to clear, as well as that water jump. You've got to have room to be able to navigate that. And they did have problems yesterday with the men.
You're starting to see, though, Sydney Mascarelli and Caitlin Stewart-Barnett get a little bit of separation, certainly establish themselves at the front. And in talking to North Carolina coach Chris Miltenberg, he told me that Sydney battled with some injuries and struggled to find consistency early in her career with the Tar Heels, and then have really gotten her back to being competitive. So to now be here and be in the hunt is just a testament to her resilience and grit and ultimate self-belief, as he described it.
Both the men and women having to contest 2 steeplechase events within 48 hours. And this event is just so hard on the body, aside from being also very technical.
One thing you're watching as they approach each one of these barriers, you want to accelerate in those 20 meters or so leading up to the barriers and really navigate those hurdles well, but then settle back into race pace. As you can see, they get a bit of a charge there going over the barrier. You can see how well Sydney Mascarelli navigated that water jump, and it's always a good indication when you can see coming out of the water how quickly someone rebounds and responds and how well they pop out of the water jump.
So just a little more than 3 minutes in. Pace is well established, so we'll step aside for a break and come back with the conclusion of this first semifinal heat of the steeplechase. Back in Eugene during the first semifinal heat of the steeplechase. Just 4 laps remaining. Not much has changed since we were last speaking with you. Sydney Mascarelli continuing to set the pace and lead. Caitlin Stewart-Barnett of Michigan State, happy to just stay right there with her. Julie Lindner of Virginia Tech and Germany right there in third in the white singlet. And then Constance Paoli of Idaho and also Germany back there in fourth. Top 5 automatically qualifying through to Saturday's final. It's quite a pedestrian pace, running 77, 78 second laps.
So 9:50 pace, and these are athletes in Stewart-Barnett and Mascarelli who are very comfortable running sub-9:40s. And you can see that Mascarelli's starting to get a bit of separation going over the water jump, but these two have been pretty even over the course of the competition. Stewart-Barnett finished 6th in this event final last year, so coming in with sights set, improving upon that. And Sydney Mascarelli, you can see just has that great hurdling ability. She was a multi-sport athlete in high school, was a 1,000-point scorer in basketball. So that great, complete natural athletic ability complements well in the steeplechase.
She has a high center of gravity, making those 30-inch barriers and water jump a little bit easier to navigate. And her technique is very solid, very tight.
The direction from Coach Chris Miltenberg to Sydney Mascarelli was be tight around those hurdles, and he said that hurdling really comes so naturally to her. Barrier by barrier is where she is able to start getting some separation on the rest of the competition. But right now, with the way these 4 have solidified themselves, they don't need to do much work over these final few laps.
She does a nice job of hardly having any water to deal with, which means the least amount of incline. That water pit is an incline, and the closer to the actual barrier that you land, more uphill and more water to get out of. Coming up to the bell, nothing has really changed. Mascarelli has led from the beginning. With Kate Stewart-Barnett happy to just follow along, right off her shoulder. Paoli looks back to see where the 5th place athlete is. This group of 4 separated themselves a couple of laps ago.
You can see some acceleration there from Mascarelli as they are down the backstretch preparing for that barrier. There's a battle for 5th position. Currently, it's Reagan Diamond from BYU. So it'll be a fight for that final spot, and you can see that, great barrier work right there over the water jump of Sydney Mascarelli. You can see how quickly she bounds and responds out of the water jump. That's one of the strengths for her in this event. Julie Linder now trying to surge across that barrier. Mascarella's going to give a look around. Huge battle behind there for that 5th position to get in.
There's Jestima of Georgetown, who now passes Reagan Diamond for that 5th automatic qualifying spot. So Julie Lindner of Virginia Tech winning the first semifinal heat. Sydney Mascarelli finishing 2nd. That was a lifetime best for Lindner, 9:44.43.
Even with that very conservative pace early on, she has a career best by almost 2 seconds. Barrett Jestima, you could see her just elation to fight her way into the final. So that big surge down the home stretch for Julie Lindner pays off in the form of not only a win for the heat and a spot in the final, but also that personal best. Paoli and Jestima also enjoying personal best to get into the final. There's where you see Mascarelli's hurdle strength over the barriers give her the advantage at that point in the race, and then she looks around to make sure she has position, secures, conserving that bit of energy before the finish. They'll now see who will join them in the final with the 2nd heat to come.
There are the official results. 3 of the top 5 finishers all getting lifetime bests in that first semifinal heat. We'll come back and do it in 48 hours in the final. So we're getting ready for that 2nd semifinal heat. They're gathering over on the backstretch here at Hayward Field. And we'll take a look first at Taylor Level of BYU. She just watched her teammate get past for the last qualifying spot in that first semifinal. Like, gosh, I don't want that to happen to me.
She's the Big 12 steeple champion this year, also the top qualifier from the West quarterfinal, number 3 in BYU history in this event, which this has been a big event for BYU when you think about Lexi Halliday-Lowry, who is the program record holder, also Courtney Wayment, who won an NCAA title here a few years ago. Then we have Sophie Novak from Notre Dame, the ACC steeplechase champion for the 2nd time this year. She went head-to-head with Angelina Napoleon at the conference championship, and Napoleon will just be to her inside. Napoleon had an incredible 2025. She was not only 3rd in this event, she went on to USA's, where she finished 2nd at the US Championship, and then finished 9th at the World Championships in the steeplechase. Her personal best of 9:10.72, which is the best among these entries in the event, came in a Paris Diamond League event last summer. So that incredible experience in that stage will certainly benefit her in looking to advance to this final.
Competing in international invitational events like Diamond League events, and then of course the World Championships, going through those prelims and then competing in the final. Huge advantage when you come back to the collegiate level.
So I expect this heat, given the way that the entries have played out, to be more honest than the previous heat that we saw, given the personal bests and the season's bests among the athletes and the caliber of athletes that we have, with Sophie Novak of Notre Dame and Taylor Level of BYU going straight to the front alongside Angelina Napoleon, who has settled in on the rail in 3rd position. You can see how well Sophie Novak hurdles, that strength that she has going over the barriers. Talked with her coach, Matt Sparks, coming into this championship, and she actually redshirted outdoors last year just to get ready for this weekend. So it was a big emphasis during the indoor season when she wasn't necessarily competing, that they worked on her leg speed got her in some 800s and some 1500s to prepare for the opportunity that she would have. They wanted her to get more of that closing speed, get stronger with her turnover, so she enjoyed about a 4-second personal best at the 800 meters, and there you can see going over the barriers, going over the first water jump, I should say. But the way that she developed her speed over the 800 and 1500 gave her a lot of confidence that she could steeple at a high level when it came to the outdoor season. They worked heavily on the technical side as well. As you can see, the way that she leans over the hurdles, over those barriers. Direction from her coach was, have your composure, but go out and control this race. 77 seconds for that first 400 meters, so right alongside what we saw, but we have gotten earlier separation than we saw in that first heat. You can see those top three well solidified, and the rest trying to get attachment down the backstretch. You can see Angelina Napoleon drifting a little bit there to the outside to get clearance over that hurdle. And in talking to Coach Lori Hennes, they said that after what she described as a fairy tale 2025 in which everything went perfectly, you can observe how strong those athletes are over the water jump. They did give her a little bit of time off, but she was so committed to wanting to run cross country because of wanting to be there for her team, didn't take a ton of time off. So it's been a process the last few months of just racing a little bit more and trying to navigate such a big year last year, having that massive breakthrough. So she hasn't been overly raced this outdoor season, wanting to make sure she is finding that top form in the championship. And Coach Hennes said that Angelina had so much joy in racing last year. They really want to make sure they're getting back to that point again, 78.5. So they have slowed ever so slightly over that last 400 meters, but those top three are in fantastic position and pushing each other just a little bit going down the backstretch.
So Novak, Napoleon, and Lovell are in the top three. So we will step aside for a moment, and when we come back, we'll show you the remainder of this event.
Two-time ACC champion. She was third in this championship.
Men's College World Series action continues Saturday. Oklahoma faces Alabama at 3, then it's Texas versus Georgia at 8. Catch both games live on ESPN or stream them anytime on the ESPN app. Back to the second semifinal of the steeplechase. We're going to be coming up on 2 laps remaining. It continues to be Sophie Novak leading. She has led pretty much from the front. Angelina Napoleon from North Carolina State is in second. Taylor Bell of BYU. And now Cynthia Gimatai of Alabama. That's Doris Lemon-Goulet's teammate up there in the top 4. And then Mercy Kenyanjui. Those are the top 5. If they finish this way, they're automatically qualified through to Saturday's final. And they are just under 940 pace. About 5 seconds faster than heat number 1. A little surprising.
And well within the comfort range of all of these athletes who are currently in that lead position. And looking at Sophie Novak, talking to her coach, Matt Sparks, I asked where her biggest strength is, and he said her confidence over the hurdles has really taken off over the last 12 months, as you can see how efficiently she goes over those barriers. And he said one thing too, he's also instructed her on, is to have a bit of a shorter memory. So if you have a little stutter step, we're gonna see how well these athletes go over the barrier right there. Pretty even between Angelina Napoleon and Sophie Novak, with Taylor Lovell just behind them. But he said, even if you have a stutter step over a barrier, over the water jump, don't dwell on it. Everyone is going to have those over the course of a steeplechase competition. So having that quick memory and not dwelling on it can be a big source of strength in the steeplechase, as Napoleon is out to the front with 1 lap to go.
Bell lap. Napoleon into the lead. Novak, Lovell, Gimatai, and Kenyanjui. Those are your top 5.
And as they get ready for this last heat, you're going to start to see more and more acceleration going into each barrier. Cynthia Gimatai has done an outstanding job of getting herself into that front 4. She's likely on pace for a personal best.
Kenyanjui is in a little bit of no man's land. She's not really attached to that top 4, but still well enough ahead of 6th place that she should be okay unless she falters over the water jump or the last barrier.
Look at how quickly Sophie Novak surged out of the water. As you can see, they were pretty even going in. In fact, it looked like Angelina Napoleon had a little bit of an edge. You can see Napoleon just with a big smile on her face as they go into that final barrier with those 4 separated and solidified. Taylor Lovell has great closing strength, but she is not going to need to use it. Hey, Cynthia Gimatai is digging deep. She wants the heat victory. She's also going to get a personal best in the process.
And she does just dip under her personal best by a little more than a second. Gimatai wins the heat with Napoleon, Novak, Lovell, and Kenyanjui. Those are your top 5. Those are your automatic qualifiers through to Saturday's final.
And Taylor Lovell, Angelina Napoleon, Sophie Novak did a great job of doing exactly what they needed to do. They eluded any sort of trouble. They ran incredibly efficiently. As you can see them navigate that barrier on the backstretch. These are the 3 that we expected it to be. Here's that very last water jump. Taylor Lovell does a great job of going to the outside to be sure that she has great clearance. Although she has to go wide, allows her to take her full stride and acceleration through that barrier. Napoleon gives that NC State Wolfpack signal to the crowd as she gets that 2nd position and looks in great position to improve upon that 3rd place finish from last year. Napoleon, the top returner from last year's NCAA final.
And the time qualifiers both came from this heat. Kate Putnam and Katrina Schlenker of Liberty. They are through on time. So the field is set for Saturday. 12 finalists, 8 places will score. And we really didn't get much of a preview of how it's likely to go on Saturday, as those times were very safe for most of the leaders, as we can see that they are going to get the 100-meter hurdles are going on the track. There is Emmy Scales of Kentucky. She will be in heat number 1 of 3, undefeated in 2026. Good shot of the tower here at Hayward Field. A great day for competition, mid-70s, very little wind. As we step aside from the track for a moment and go to Dan O'Brien for our first field event report of the day.
Well, let's take a look at the women's hammer throw. There you see the lineup outside of the stadium, and there you see the meet and NCAA record, Cameron Rogers. She would win here, break the record, but she would also go on to Olympic gold. Then into the competition, this is Elizabeth Runesdotter, the junior from Texas State. On her 3rd attempt, she would send a big one. Great yell. Love an athlete that puts out a big yell there. She won the Sun Belt Conference this year. Number 7 all-time in the NCAA rankings, but she go 240 feet 1 inch, and that would be a lifetime personal best. And also in the 3rd round, Mary Rouget, the sophomore from Mississippi State, the SEC champion. She was 17th at these championships last year. Bound to move up in the 3rd round. She'd go 228 feet 8 inches and become the Mississippi State record holder. This is your collegiate leader all season long, Antoinette Nabwe, the junior from Minnesota. In the 6th round, she would be trailing and have to send a big one out there. NCAA indoor champion. She won the Big Ten last year, and this year she go 240 feet even and miss the title by 1 inch. Close competition here. But the winner would be Runesdotter of Texas State, coached by the infamous John Frazier there. Not only a head coach, but the throws coach. Sun Belt Conference for Runesdotter, and now a national title. All right, we got some other great field event action for you tonight. We're going to see Hannah Mall, the national leader, 2-time NCAA indoor champ in the pole vault. Also, Alyssa Jones. She's been over 23 feet this year in the long jump. She'll compete in the high jump as well. ACC champ. And Alita Van Dalen will compete in 2 events. Tonight, she'll compete in the shot put, but we'll see her in the discus on Saturday. But the 2-time SEC champ is going to try to score some points for the Florida Gators.
All right, Dan. Now it's time for 3 semifinal heats in the women's 100 hurdles. There's the meet record, Brianna Rollins, the Olympic champion, and Masai Russell, the Olympic champion. They were great in college as well. As we look at Emmy Scales from Kentucky, the junior, has not lost this year, number 2 among collegians this season. Only Aaliyah McCormick has been faster. We will see her in a subsequent heat. But look at this lineage of Kentucky hurdling. Kenny Harrison at one point also had the world record. Jasmine Camacho Quinn, Olympic champion. Masai Russell, Olympic champion. So it's quite a heritage that she is trying to be a part of at Kentucky.
Well, Masai Russell has gone 12:26 this season. Off to a great start. But there you see the look on Emmy Scales' face. And when you talk to Coach Lonnie Green, he'll continue to say the words for her season are locked in. Not just locked in on the track, but locked in off the track. She's gotten stronger in the weight room. She's been watching her diet, taking great care of herself, and it's certainly showing up in her track and field season. 4th fastest in Kentucky program history.
Top 2 finishers automatically qualifying to Saturday's final, then the next 3 on time over the 3 semifinal heats. Scales out well. Samoria Atkins is also there. Atkins is right there. Emmy Scales, and then here goes Polzanetti of UCLA, and Scales just outleans Polzanetti, the sophomore from UCLA and Italy, at the line. They get the top 2 qualifying spots. 12:72 for Scales, 12:74 for Polzanetti. That's a PR for the Bruin sophomore.
Well, Celeste made a nice move there in the second half of that race. Not the cleanest of races for Emmy Scales. We've certainly seen her run cleaner. Good start. She gets up into running position right away, and you don't want to do that in the 100-meter flat, but it's okay to do it in the hurdles. Got to spot that hurdle. But it looked like Emmy Scales just got a little casual through the middle of this race until she felt the pressure from Paul Zanetti, that she was able to quicken up over those last couple of hurdles. But Emmy Scales, just a little bit different hurdling technique than we're certainly used to seeing, but it works really well for her. But she's going to be able to go back and look at the technique over all 10 hurdles, make some changes as she gets into the finals.
So Scales and Paul Zanetti, the automatic qualifiers through to Saturday's final. A point of technical correction. Masai Russell has run 12:14 this year already. She's just a couple of hundredths of a second off the world record early in the 2026 season. So she continues to dominate in the event internationally. Here is Aaliyah McCormick. She's the defending champion, and also potentially big points for Oregon in this event. This is last summer. Very fast off the last hurdle to win the title. So a lot of hopes riding on her performance here, and here she is indoors in Arkansas. 60-meter hurdles. She leans hard at the tape to win the NCAA indoor title as well. So we talked to her the other day, and we talked to her about what her mindset was like coming into these championships.
My mindset is kind of just staying really locked in. I am filled with a lot of emotions as I am a senior here, and I'm just really excited to be representing Oregon for my final 20 hurdles, and I'm locked in, I'm excited, and I'm ready to go.
Well, and she talked about having a lot of other things on her mind, but she was able to overcome some of the different things. But as a senior, you're busy graduating, and you got family, and then you got the championships, and so a lot of things on her mind. She's able to really focus in and run great hurdles. She's done just fantastic over the last year and a half, and she has been locked in, and she's risen to the occasion time and time again. She definitely is the favorite coming into these championships, and it's not always easy coming in here, especially as an Oregon Duck, and certainly the favorite. The crowd expects you to win. You expect yourself to win. Your team expects you to win. There you see Rachel Maringer. She's having a season. She's gone 12:72, and we've seen the times in the outdoor season here really pick up over the last few weeks of the season. Did not see a lot of runs under 12:9, but we get to the regional championships, and quite a few people dip under that just because of great conditions. This is Janella Spencer of Ohio State, Big Ten runner-up. And what's interesting, you can be fourth, you can be fifth at your conference championships and come in here and have a chance to get into the finals. That's how good and deep the 100-meter hurdles are this year.
Once again, the top two finishers automatically qualifying through to Saturday's final. Then the next three qualifiers on time over the three semifinals. 9 finalists is what they're looking for. Remember, only 8 score. Par's had a good start. Great start for Tony and Forbes of Texas Tech. And here comes McCormick, the defending champion, now taking control. Easily over number 9, and it looks like Janella Spencer of Ohio State getting that second automatic spot. 12:58 for McCormick. And it was Spencer in second with a personal best up by 0.02 of a second. Rachel Maringer right there at 12:79, just off her lifetime best.
Well, just like in the men's race, we're seeing the conditions are absolutely fabulous for fast hurdling. And what's interesting, it doesn't really matter what kind of start Aaliyah McCormick gets. She always is just so relentless over the last 5 hurdles. She continues to work over each and every hurdle. She doesn't get too far out in front of herself. Think about that finish line. She just gets quicker and quicker and quicker as the race goes on and just holds her form together. Look at the concentration, though. Absolutely clean. Not a single hurdle hit for Aaliyah McCormick, and clean is fast.
So McCormick winning the heat and running the fastest time so far at 12:58. Janella Spencer with a lifetime best gets in as the second automatic qualifier. Maringer at 12:79 good chance that that'll be a time qualifier, as the bubble is 12:86. Last year it took 12:95 to get into the final, so almost a full 10th faster this year over last year, as we do get ready for semifinal number 3. And in lane number 6 from Southern, this is the junior, Tashina Alais. She's run 12:64. She was the Southwest Conference Outdoor 100-meter champ this year.
Well, she broke the Southwest Athletic Conference record that stood since 1985, setting the HBCU national record and ranking 2nd in the world at that time, only behind Masai Russell, that placed her on the Bowerman watch list. First Southern University woman in 32 years to advance to the NCAA Outdoor Championships in this race. Congratulations to her. There's Michaela DeMello. Came over from Washington State when they kind of shortened or made their program a little bit smaller, but what a pickup for the Oregon Ducks from Pajaco, Brazil. Owns all the records at Washington State, indoors and outdoors, and here this season she's run 12:85. And she did that at the West Region Championships, and she's 3rd at the Big Ten Outdoor Championships, but just such an opportunity for the Oregon Ducks to score points, more than just the points you would see for Aaliyah McCormick here in the hurdles. And there's Jaya Covington, runner-up last season. She was the first one to congratulate Aaliyah McCormick last year, but Covington in her senior year. And you have to stress nowadays, you talk about a lot of the transfers, Jaya Covington, a 4-year Aggie in her senior year, now at Texas A&M. And Coach Kurt Henry and Pat Henry, they both said she is ready to roll, and it's going to be sad to see her go.
Once again, the bubble is 12:86. If you are not first or second in this semifinal heat, this final heat, you got to run faster than 12:86 to make it through on time. Alais in 6, DeMello in 5, Covington in 7. What a great start for DeMello. Emeka Wilson of Clemson out well. Here comes Alais. And Adea Brewster of LSU in 8. Ooh, but she has problems going over the 9th hurdle, and a blanket finish at the end. Brewster had taken the lead and then had a terrible 9th hurdle. Tashina Alais ends up winning the heat at 12:90. Jaya Covington right there, just separated by a few thousandths of a second. They get the automatic qualifying spots. Then Onika Wilson, that is not going to be fast enough for a time qualifier, so no time qualifiers out of this 3rd and final heat.
Well, that heat was certainly just a little more ragged than the 2 previous, and I'll tell you, when you're lined up shoulder to shoulder, you got a lot of action going, everybody moving at the same speed. You just kind of drag everybody into the middle. But there you see Michaela DeMello. She did not get a fantastic start, and you called it, Bruce. Deja Brewster of LSU was out like a rocket on the outside. Aja Atkinson of Southern Cal, she just left her in the dust on the outside. But look at Jaya Covington just continue to work. But it was a Deja Brewster. It looked like she just didn't get her feet down over that 9th hurdle, set her up for a really rough 10th hurdle. But Alais and Covington, 2 of the favorites in that heat, narrowly get through.
A little bit of a disappointment for the host Ducks with DeMello not getting through on time. So here come your advancers to Saturday's final. Aaliyah McCormick with a rare sub-12.6 time in a semifinal, and Emmy Scales, who has never lost in 2026. All right, when we come back, we stay on the straightaway, but we take the hurdles away. The 100-meter semifinals are next. Next event on the track, 3 semifinals of the 100 meters. Sha'Carri Richardson, former world champion, is the meet and NCAA record holder at 10:75. Same qualification with all these lane races. Top 2 across the line, automatically qualifying as we look to Brianna Selby of Southern Cal.
Well, and the years go by, but there's always a Southern Cal athlete that has run some of the fastest times in the 100 meters. Is Brianna Selby, just a sophomore, Big Ten champion this year. New school record holder held by T.T. Terry. Brianna Selby locked in right now there in lane 5. She knows she's got her work cut out for her. These 100-meter heats are an absolute gauntlet. So many great athletes. We've seen a lot of athletes run under 11 flat this season. One of those athletes right there, Adasia Hodge, but I shouldn't call her Adasia. When she's on the track, she's Day Day. And she's the NCAA indoor 200-meter champion, but she's put up the fastest times of the year in the 100 meters and the 200 meters. Got surprised a little bit, shocked at the SEC championships by Gabby Matthews, but really ran well in the 100 meters at the regional championships. And there is Jamesia Ford. It's interesting, you just never know what you're going to see from her each and every year. Yeah, last year she concentrated, well, at the SEC meet she concentrated on the 400. 2 years ago she ran the 400 meters, but last year big load, 1, 2, 4x1, 4x4. Same schedule for her this year, but there you see the panel. Look at the times these athletes have run. But Jamesia Ford knew all season long that she's going to get to the end of the season and have to face Adasia Hodge, not only in the 200, but the 100 meters as well.
All three of those athletes we featured were in this final last year. Selby finished 8th. Hodge was 7th.
Well, and sneak a peek down there in lane 4. Shanti Jackson, just a sophomore, has been running really well. We saw her in that 4x100 meter relay. She's healthy this year, representing the LSU Tigers.
Good start for Selby. Oh, she's getting behind now. There comes Hodge. It's Hodge and Shanti Jackson, and that's how they finish 1-2. Those are your automatic qualifiers. Jamesia Ford well back in lane 8. New collegiate record, just under the allowable wind, 1.9 meters per second. 2.0 is the maximum, 10.63, and Adasia Hodge just obliterates Sha'Carri Richardson's collegiate record. It was 10.75, and that is the number 5-time ever performer in world history.
Well, I'll tell you, Dwight, it was just a matter of time. You know, we saw Sha'Carri Richardson break that record at the University of Texas a few years ago. We saw a world record yesterday in the men's 110-meter hurdles. Talk about the conditions here. But Adasia Hodge takes total advantage that she's in an extremely fast heat. She knows she's going to be pushed. But look at the separation. Look at the acceleration in the last half of that race. And she even let up, maybe with one stride to go. But absolutely phenomenal. But you look at the athletes who are ahead of her all time. Melissa Jefferson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Elaine Thompson-Hara, Florence Griffith-Joyner. Adasia Hodge has just gone to another level. New NCAA record. Woo!
I felt a little gust of wind just before that gun, and I thought, oh, we're getting some wind now. Well, we didn't get too much wind, thankfully. 10.63, a new collegiate record. Shanti Jackson was second, got the second automatic qualifying spot. Brianna Selby at 10.94 will certainly advance to the final on time, but there's still 2 heats remaining. What might we still see? As we step aside for a moment, Dan's got an update on the women's pole vault.
All right, well, we're going to try to get you guys as many field events as possible. There's a lot going on tonight. This is Amanda Mall. I introduced Hannah Mall, but this is the twin sister, a junior from Washington, her first attempt at 13.11. She had a rough indoor season, riddled with some injuries, but has won her fair share of championships. But 4 Washington Huskies in the competition here. This is Valentina Vaca, just a freshman at Washington. Ooh, and scary times there early on. Was not a broken pole, but her top hand slipped off. But I'll tell you what, when you vault and stuff like that happens, you've got to get right back on the pole. She does. Second time down the runway, and she is over 13.11 on her second attempt. But the pole vault in the early going. And we're back to the 100 meters. Whew.
By the way, that time by Adasia Hodge, 2.5 years younger than the youngest ever to run under 10.7. So she is way ahead of the curve as we now get ready for semifinal heat number 2. If we can calm down up here. Jasani Carter of Georgia, part of that sprint crew that is going to be so essential for Carol Smith-Gilbert if she wants to repeat as national champion. Carter, a transfer from USC, I mean University of Southern California.
Well, we got a chance to see Jasani run the anchor leg in that 4x1. She looked pretty solid, but she is having a really solid last few weeks of the season here. Top qualifier from the East region, 10:88. She was not in that same heat with Adasia Hodge. There's Cameron Dixon, a senior now. And again, got to mention she's 4-year Aggie there, but Cameron Dixon just in the best shape of her life, has run some of her best times, not only the 100 meters, but the 200 meters as well. We'll see her later on this afternoon. She got the Aggies through in the 4x1, and there is Gabby Matthews, and what a season she has had, the SEC champion. I think she surprised everybody just a little bit that she came out just a little bit flat in that 200 meters at the SEC championships, but we'll see her in both those races. Gabby Matthews down there in 3, just a tough customer. Cameron Dixon in 4, Jasani Carter in 5.
Now I feel a little bit of wind blowing in the other direction. So let's see if this heat ends up being a headwind.
India Mayberry out there for TCU, 8. And Alicia Burnett of Ole Miss in this heat as well.
Good start for Jasani Carter. It's Carter. It's also Alicia Burnett. Alicia Burnett, she's going to win. Ooh, very close between Alicia Burnett and it looks like maybe Gabby Matthews. Let's see how Gabby Matthews gets it at 11:02, and there was not a headwind, but there was less wind than it had been for Adasia Hodge. Matthews and Burnett, 11:02 and 11:03, so quite a bit slower. There will be no time qualifier out of this heat as the bubble becomes 11:02. It was 11:06 last year.
Let's take a look at this start. Alicia Burnett, she's an outstanding starter. We saw her win the SEC Indoor Championships in the 60. And she brings that start out here to the 100 meters. Look at her go in the first 2/3 of this race. And you get ahead of people, you can really shake them up. It just never looked like Jasani Carter really got going here in the 100 meters. Cameron Dixon there in 4th place. Alicia Burnett would finish second there, but Gabby Matthews on a strong last 20 meters would take the victory.
There are your official results, 11:02 for Gabby Matthews. That happens to be the bubble, and the bubble is Jamisha Ford. So if the third placer in this next heat runs faster than 11:02, Ford is out of the 100-meter final. Getting ready now for the third and final heat. Shanice Walker of Florida State and Jamaica, 6th in this event last year. NCAA indoor 60-meter champion back in March.
Well, she's gone 1080 this season. I asked her coach today, Matt Kane, I said, how fast do you think? What's her ceiling? And he said, he thinks she's a 1070. I think she can go 1070. She ran really well in the East region. And she's had such a great season. NCAA indoor champ and just took that momentum into the outdoor season. And now a senior and should be right next to a former teammate in Deja Dufrand. But Shanice Walker, a 4-year Seminole. There's Tanaya Looney of New Mexico. Ran 11:07 in the West Conference, school record and PB. And Windy 10:85. But it's interesting to see the Mountain West, some of these smaller conferences now competing against the SEC. We'll see how Tanaya Looney can hang out of Oklahoma. There's Deja Dufrand, Big Ten runner-up. Kind of interested to see if she and Shanice Walker even acknowledge each other now that they're competing against each other. And Soteria James of South Carolina in lane 8, and Mia Brahide-Patterson of Southern Cal out there in lane 9. And she's coming back to her hometown, or excuse me, her home state. There you see her in lane 9. She was a state champion here while in high school, one of the fastest high schoolers out of Lake Oswego, Oregon. I'm sure a lot of her family members from up north have come down here to see her. Kayla Jackson also in this heat, Dwight.
Yeah, I was going to mention the fact that we have Kayla Jackson, who has run 10:93, also in this heat. So like John said in the open, there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings over not getting a lane in Saturday's final in this 100 meters. Remember the bubble, 11:02. Jamisha Ford hoping that nobody runs faster than that in third place. Deja DeFran with a good start. So also for Walker. Shanice Walker now taking control. It's going to be Walker who's going to get the second spot. It's Walker, and down in lane 2, that's like Tima God Bless, who we did not mention. Of the 8 athletes, we mentioned 7, except Tima God Bless, who I think gets that second spot. Yes, she did. And she gets it in 11:08, which means Jamisha Ford does get through on time. Deja DeFran out, having run 11:10. There was just a little zephyr behind them at 0.3 meters per second. No help at all.
Well, you know, Kayla Jackson is always going to get a great start there. You see her third from the right, and she does get a good start. But look at Shanice Walker now stand up tall, get into her top end speed position, and just pull away from this field. 10:94, and she made it look easy. She's going to have her work cut out for her in the finals. But that is a nice run by the senior from Florida State.
There are your official results. You've got to wonder if everyone's just shocked after what Adeja Hodge did in heat number 1. The times in the subsequent heats just really didn't measure up to some of the potential of these athletes. So take a look at the advancers. Adeja Hodge with a new collegiate record, just a giant adjustment from 10:75, and it took 30 years to get it to 10:75. Adeja Hodge takes just 6 years to bring it down, 7 years to bring it down to 10:63. She will be tough to beat on Saturday. Next event on the track, 3 semifinal heats of the 400 meters. Nikisha Price, the meet and NCAA record holder. And Dejanay Oakley just missed getting that collegiate record at the conference meet about a month ago. Here she is at that conference meet, coming off the turn in second place, and then making an amazing charge up the finishing straight at Auburn to run that incredible time, 48:92, the second fastest in collegiate history, and she was completely shocked. You can see that's something not prepared for. So we talked to her the other day and said, what were you thinking when you saw that time?
We've been working at practice towards running a 48 this entire season, but we were like more working on it like for later down in the season. So for it to like literally transpire at SEC was just like, wow, it's really happening now. Our workouts and all the practice we've been working on actually, I've executed the race and it actually happened in the moment, and I was so shocked, like, yes, finally, I'm putting the work that I've been doing at practice on the track.
Well, I hope that she wasn't surprised that all the work she was doing at practice was paying off into the meets, but I'll tell you, she just went to another level. She looked so strong in that last 50 meters. She's unbeaten this season.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to work?
Yeah. I'm a pretty good coach, if you let me, right? But Carol Smith-Gilbert has just really had high hopes for her all season long. There's Rachel Joseph. More 20 times, she holds 20 of the top 400-meter times at Iowa State there. And the mantra for her all season long has been 49. She's been under 51 so many times. She wants to dip under 50 seconds for the first time. But here she is at the NCAA championships once again. And Sonaria Butler as well. She says she's made it to the championships so many different times, and she's never made it to the finals. And she said now could be her opportunity.
Started her career at Northwestern State. She's the 7th Razorback to run sub 50. There are the lane assignments, with Rachel Joseph in 5, Dejanay Oakley in 6, Sonaria Butler in 7. Top 2 finishers automatically advancing to Saturday's final, and 3 times on time over the 3 semifinal heats. Dejanay Oakley out well in lane number 6, starting to get close to making up the stagger on Scenaria Butler to her outside. That's an advantage for Oakley to be inside Butler.
Well, Scenaria Butler, though, she's doing it the Arkansas way, and that is to get out strong, run that first 300 meters, separate yourself from your opponents, make them hurt, make them chase you down. But Dejanay Oakley right there. And the message from Coach Smith-Gilbert was, look, don't give this away, but you've got to be able to save a little bit in the tank, run a little bit easier. And Dejanay Oakley did not hold back at the SEC Championships, and here she easily dips under 50 seconds. Look how easy that was.
Oakley and Butler are the automatic qualifiers. Oakley running 49.93. And Rachel Joseph once again under 51, but not 50, 50.97. That's a time that probably will advance, but she has to wait through 2 semifinal heats to make certain it does happen. But just another day at the office for Dejanay Oakley as we go over to Dan for more pole vault.
Great job. Hey.
Well, still 23 athletes in the women's pole vault. Let's take a look at some of the other competitors. This is Anna Willis, a sophomore from South Dakota. First attempt, 13 feet 11. Boom, an easy make for her. Got a nice little crowd forming over there on the east side. This is Sarah Borton, the senior from Washington, one of 4 Washington Huskies in here. We saw V. Vaca, and then you got the Mall twins. And here is Borton, first attempt, 13.11. She's over. Molly Haywood, the junior from Baylor. First attempt for her, so conditions are looking good for these women pole vaulters. Now here comes Amanda Mall, the junior. The bar is now raised to 14.4 3/4. They lost a few at that last bar, but that's a first attempt miss for Mall. Now 17 still remaining at 14 feet 4 3/4. 2 remaining attempts for Amanda Mall.
Well, the depth in that event has just grown exponentially over the last 10 years. Amazing. Still have 17 falters in at the 3rd height of the bar as we get ready for the second semifinal of 3 in this 400 meters. And we're looking at lane number 7 from the University of Southern California. The junior from Newport News, Virginia, Madison White. She broke Kendall Ellis's school record of 49.99 when she went 49.64 back in April at the Mount Sac Relays.
Well, she put everybody on notice at the Mount Sac Relays. She took down both runners from Arkansas in Kaylin Brown and Scenaria Butler, but Madison White, just an outstanding 100-meter sprinter, 200-meter sprinter, and a 400-meter sprinter. She could have qualified for the 200 meters, but she's concentrating on the 4, trying to get ready for likes of Dejanay Oakley. And there is Quincy Penn, who had a little bit of a disappointing SEC championship, but came back solid in the regional meet. Be interesting to see how she gets through here. The junior from Florida has an opportunity to score some points, and there's Javanya Valcourt of Tennessee. It's not broken 50 seconds, 50.26 this season, but she'll be in lane 6. Attended Montverde Academy in Florida, along with Dejanay Oakley and Adasia Hodge. But Valcourt set personal best in both of her heats at the East Regionals, so let's keep an eye on her in lane 6.
Most of the competition close to the outside lanes, 6, 7, and 8. Also a legacy athlete in lane 5, Bailey Minor, daughter of Dion Minor, who also competed in that conference when Texas was there, but he was at Baylor. The daughters at Texas. Valcourt in 6, White in 7, Penn in 8.
I was a little surprised to see Madison White not entered in the 200 meters, but she is just such a good all-around hurdler. But I love the fact that she's concentrating on the 400. We saw her on the 4x1. We'll see her in the 4x4. But she can concentrate on an individual event, the 400 meters. The 400 meters for women on Saturday may be the best event of the weekend.
So even between those 3 after 200 meters. Now Bailey Minor making the move through the turn. The freshman saying, thank you for pacing me. And then also down in lane 3, Braylon Baker of Duke. She is leading. Now here comes White, reeling her in, and Valcourt. Madison White and Javonja Valcourt, those will be your automatic qualifiers. Braylon Baker hangs on, has run 50.80. She will not be that fast today, but she must have given a little bit of concern to those athletes that she was leading pretty decisively coming off the turn, but it is White of USC, Valcourt of Tennessee who get the 2 automatic qualifying spots.
Well, I think a good word to talk about this heat is patience. Look at the patience of Madison White. Look at the patience of Javonja Valcourt. They are behind, but they know they can just continue to work to the line, keep the tempo going, keep the arms rolling, and they're going to be able to overtake Baker on the inside and finish in the top 2 marks. But that race took a little bit of time to develop. Didn't look like anybody wanted to scooch out and really push that first 200. Madison White did a really good job of just measuring her efforts.
There are the official results, and the bubble moves to 51.33, which is Quincy Penn's 4th place finish here. She has to hope that the next heat does not go faster so that the 3rd place finisher goes faster than 51.33. And we have a little bit of wind today that we did not have yesterday. On Jacoby Thorpe's world record, it was just 1.1 meter of wind behind. As we get to the 3rd and final semifinal of this 400, Kaylin Brown, the junior from Arkansas. She will start in lane number 6, 5th here last year. A gold and silver medal from the Olympic Games in Paris.
I had a chance to talk to Chris Johnson earlier today, and I said, you know, it must be tough for these athletes to live up to the Arkansas legacy of the 400 meters and the Keisha Price and Britton Wilson and some of those athletes. And he said, you know, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the athletes who have come before. Obviously, these young ladies know the great athletes who have come before, but he doesn't want to ruin it. He said he knows they know what's expected, and they get the job done. And that's interesting that, you know, it's just you're not living up to what's happened in the past. You got to be the athlete from today. There we get a chance to see Anyinye Favor of Southeastern Louisiana set personal best in the last 3 races. Runner-up in her conference meet. It'll be interesting to see what she can do in her NCAA debut. She just ran just outside of 50 seconds. There's Sydney Wright, another Tennessee athlete. So Dwayne Ross is absolutely loaded up with these 400-meter runners. 50-52. We'll see if Sydney Wright can push closer to a PB, maybe run around 50 seconds flat. But she's got to go under 51 second to get into the finals. Sydney Segala of Boston College, she's had a really strong season, but Kaylin Brown is back, Dwight, I believe. She's had a year of injury, a little bit of a letdown after the Olympic year, and just when you're trying to get back there, an injury hits you, so she struggled a little bit, and then indoors this year as well, just a little bit of a struggle, but she's looking like her old self, running fast times again.
I'm going to make an executive decision here and call her OO Favor, because it'll take the whole race for me to get her whole name out. So Sydney right down in 3, so she has some fast runners ahead of her to pace off of. OO Favor in 5, Kaylin Brown in 6. The bubble, 51.33. It took 51.35 to make it through to the final last year. Kaylin Brown out quickly. Looking at Sydney Segala to her outside to make up the stagger, which she has done.
I just love the way that the Arkansas women approaches 400 meters. They just push so hard at the beginning. Get out front, make everybody else do the thinking. Make everybody else make race adjustments. Kaylin Brown just flexing out there at 300 meters. Big lead.
It's a huge lead coming off the turn. Sydney Segala is currently in 2nd, but here comes OO Favor She doesn't have enough real estate, I don't think. In fact, Sigala is going to take over the lead. Kaylin Brown just shutting it down. It's Sigala and Brown getting the automatic spots. Oh, Favor, let's see. Anya Nyi Favor. Let's see if she got under. Yes, she did it. 51 flat. She's under the bubble, so she gets through on time. And she's the only one that does in this third and final heat. So Brown just shutting it down the last 50 meters, knowing she had an automatic spot. Sydney Sigala of Boston College actually winning the heat. She'll get a good lane in the final.
Gotta love to see the former soccer player, 4-year soccer player at Boston, come away with the victory there and run a PB.
There are your advancers to final. We saw only one athlete go under 50 seconds in these semifinals. Dejanay Oakley, the only one to do so. All right, one time around the track is done. We're going to come back. We're going to go twice around the track 3 times. It's the women's 800 semifinals next. All right, let's check in with the decathlon.
Well, day 2 in the decathlon starts with the 110-meter hurdles. There you see the meet in NCAA records, 89.61 by the big man from Texas, Leo Neugebauer. But Ben Barton, your leader from BYU, and we had to look in the record books to see when the last time somebody from BYU won this title, and it was a long time ago. Let's just say that. There is KJ Bird, Kenneth Bird, indoor heptathlon runner-up, looking to have a good second day. There's Maxwell Forte, ACC decathlon runner-up. He moved into a nice second position after day 1 in that 400 meters, but here we are in section 1. Kenneth Bird in there, doesn't have the strapping on his knee. Cleared out on the inside, but Maxwell Forte would go down. Look at KJ Bird hit those hurdles, but Forte would catch a trail leg and go down. He would get up and be able to finish, but that would hurt his score tremendously. But KJ Bird will continue on. 14:44 for the Bird. That's not a bad run into with the help of a 2+ wind, but disaster for Maxwell Forte. There is your leader after the first 5 events. Ben Barton, he's an outstanding hurdler. Big 12 champ this year, but you got to go clear back to 1979 to see an NCAA winner in the decathlon. But Ben Barton, coached by Tiffany Hogan, formerly Tiffany Lott, competed in the 2004 Athens Olympics, but Ben Barton, an outstanding hurdler. Look at him hold his form together as he crosses the line. And he would run just around his all-time personal best. Luke Pelkman's in there as well, the freshman from Illinois. But Ben Barton would be your leader after 6 events, 5,363 points.
All right, back to the track. 2-lapper up next, 3 semifinal heats of the 800. There are the records. I think Mo, Olympic champion, world champion, still have the collegiate record, but collegians are knocking on the door in this first heat. We're looking at Haley Kitching, Penn State and Australia, World Inter Championships. She was a finalist this last year. There are the lane assignments.
Juliet Whitaker from Stanford, one of 3 NCAA champions who is in this field across the 3 heats, having won that title in 2024. That year she was also a Paris Olympian.
Finalist, 7th in that final in Paris. And like all the lane races, the top 2 finishers automatically qualifying through to Saturday's final. And the next 3 on time. Rosemary Arthur, who we were looking at there, down lane 2.
The green card showing the field, so all 8 athletes stand behind their line.
On your marks.
We mentioned Juliette Whitaker's credentials as an NCAA champion in the 800 and Paris Olympian in this event. And she's really showcased great range this outdoor season. She won the 1500 meters at the ACC championship, just edging out North Carolina State's Sadie Engelhardt. She also ran a leg on the 4x4 relay, so she's gotten stronger at some of these complementary events. And Dwight, you mentioned Haley Kitching as we were setting up this race from Penn State. It is great to see her back, an outstanding competitor. She battled an injury indoors during 2025, so she sat out the outdoor season 1 year ago and has battled back to be at this point. She really, her coach Ryan Foster says, has something to prove this year, comes in with that championship chip on her shoulder, and she had back-to-back sub-2-minute efforts at the regional meet, so she has been fantastic in navigating the rounds as they go through that first 400 in 57 seconds.
And who's it on a rail in the red from Indiana? Veronica Hargrave. Now see, now I said it this time. Now you can go.
Hargrave, the Big Ten runner-up to Haley Kitching, so those two well familiar with one another. And Hargrave indoors was the conference 600-meter champion. Her coach Andrew Poore says she's gotten more and more comfortable going through around 127 multiple times this season in the 800, so that's really helped her strength as she went sub 2 minutes for the first time to break the Indiana school record this season.
Kitching, Whitaker, and Hargrave are the three athletes in who have personal bests that are under 2 minutes, but only one has done it this year. And that is the leader, Haley Kitching, as they're coming down the home stretch for the final time. Whitaker going out into lane 2 now. But Kitching is not giving up. It's going to be Kitching and Whitaker are going to be your automatic qualifiers, with Hargrave digging because she knows she's got to have as good a time as possible to make it through on time. And Kitching breaks 2 minutes, 1:59.46, just off her lifetime best. Whitaker just sneaks under 2 minutes for the first time this season at 1:59.92, and Hargrave at 2:35. That is just off her personal best.
And if you remember back at the indoor NCAA championships, Haley Kitching took a devastating fall before the bell lap. She was in fantastic position, and she is not going to let any such occurrence happen now. She gets out there to the front and fends off the charge from Juliette Whitaker. She has solidified herself as certainly a contender. After she wins that heat, she was 5th in this event just 2 years ago. Sights set on improving upon that and looking incredibly strong. 3rd straight race, she's gone sub 2 minutes, Dwight.
So a good return for Kitching. She gets the first automatic spot, with Whitaker getting it second. Georgia Scott of TCU, that's a lifetime best for her. So she'll hope that that will hold up as a time qualifier. We have 2 more heats to go to determine that. Heat number 2, Michaela Page, the senior from North Carolina. She's the top returner. She won the conference, ACC conference, 800 meters just a month ago.
And I mentioned that there are multiple NCAA indoor champions across the 3 heats. Michaela Page is one of those. She won the NCAA indoor title last year and then finished runner-up to Roisin Willis of Stanford, who set the meet record in the process. She got boxed in on the final turn, but battled back. She has exceptional closing speed that she can rely upon, and she was part of that collegiate record-setting distance medley relay at Penn Relays for North Carolina. Emma Gemitai is back on the track. She already qualified on time in the 1500, so double duty for her after sweeping the conference titles in both those events as well. Had just about 90 minutes in between the 2 events, Dwight. And then Maeve O'Neill from Providence in this heat as well, who set not only her career best, but a school record at the East Regional meet.
So 2 of the 8 athletes in this second heat with personal best under 2 minutes. Gemitai and Page.
As we set up Michaela Page at the top of this race, talked for a while with her coach Chris Miltenberg earlier today, and he said during the indoor season she strained an abdominal muscle that impacted her training for at least 6 weeks. She couldn't do anything hard, so for her to make it to the NCAA indoor meet and finish 7th is just a sign of how resilient she is. Now she carries some great momentum coming in after winning the conference championship, as you mentioned, just a few weeks ago. She's so battle-tested in championship racing. And there's Annalise Batista of Arkansas. We just saw a number of her teammates in the 400, so no surprise at how strong the Razorbacks are as over the 800 as they go through in 57 seconds. Annalise Batista won the SEC Indoor 800-meter title earlier this year.
So a pace very similar to heat number 1. Paige continuing to lead with Batista right on her shoulder. That's Emma Sullivan of Kennesaw State in 3rd. Remember, it's just the top 2 that automatically qualify. That group of 3 is a breakaway now with 200 meters to go.
And this is where Michaela Page is as strong as anyone. It's her ability to come off the turn and just go one more time, find one more gear. It's as good as anyone in the NCAA. Annalise Batista is an excellent 400-meter runner as well. And those two are trying to separate themselves from the charging Sullivan. And then Immaculate Gemitai finding her way to the front.
Gemitai going wide and now into the lead. It's Gemitai who's going to win it, and very close between Page and Batista. Gemitai definitely 1:59.62. That's a lifetime best and a school record. Michaela Page does get that 2nd spot just by 2/100ths of a second over Batista. All 3 of them under 2 minutes.
Look at how far back Immaculate Gemitai was coming off the turn. Even though she has that 1,500-meter race in her legs, she surges. She digs deep, goes right to the outside, and gets onto the shoulder of the leaders, closing with an exceptionally hard kick. She's got that 1,500-meter endurance as a strength of hers and uses every bit of it. We saw it on display at the conference meet, and she showcases it here again in Eugene. What a race from Immaculate Gemitai, and Michaela Page continuing to be in that exceptional form that she has been over the last 2 months of this outdoor season.
Emma Sullivan with a lifetime best as well. I think she becomes the bubble at 2:37. It was 2:01.07 last year. That's a school record for Sullivan, so she'd like to race one more time. And with that time, depending on what happens in the 3rd heat, she may be able to do so as we get ready for the 3rd and final semifinal. And this is the woman of the hour, the one challenging Athing Mu's collegiate record. Just barely missed it at the conference a month ago. This is Sanu Jallow Lockhart, the senior from Arkansas and Gambia, running 1:57.74 at the conference. She's the collegiate leader, of course.
That was actually at the West Regional just 2 weeks ago, Dwight.
Correct.
And I actually texted with Athing Mu to ask how much she's been dialed in, and she said, oh, I've of course been watching Sanu. She was quick to remind me that Sanu was an Aggie first before becoming a Razorback. And Athing said, I've been watching her throughout the years. I'm super happy that this year she's been able to dominate because I always knew it was within her. If anyone breaks my record, I'm happy that it is Sanu Jallow.
She's only 1/100th of a second off of that record.
And this is Gladys Chepinjetich, who was the NCAA indoor champion just a few weeks ago and set her outdoor personal best, a 1:59 low in that East Regional meet where she was just behind Michaela Page of North Carolina, who we saw in that previous heat. Gladys Chepinjetich went wire to wire at the NCAA indoor meet, so expect this to be a very fast opening 400 meters. Then Lauren Tolbert of Duke, who is back in this NCAA championship after finishing 5th in the final last year. She's clocked sub 2 minutes on 3 separate occasions.
5 of the 8 athletes in this final heat have broken 2 minutes at some point in their career, most of them this year.
Jallow Lockhart and Chepinjetich both like to run from the front.
And they are the 3 athletes we featured in the top 3. Jallow Lockhart, Chepinjetich, and Tolbert.
It was such a big breakthrough. You mentioned 1 month ago at the SEC conference meet. Well, that was a huge breakout performance for Sanu Jallow because that was actually her first conference title.
Janet Jetman-Boyd Amimo of Kentucky moving up on the outside. Lockhart kind of taking her foot off the gas here to get it to 57.5. She was certainly going quicker than that for the first 300.
Very tightly bunched through this point, and we've talked about the University of Florida, how balanced they are with their middle distance and distance events. Layla Haynes is putting herself in exceptional position right now, trying to fight her way into the final.
Sanu Jello Lockhart continuing to lead as she likes to do.
And this is where we've seen her getting stronger over the last year. This has been a huge point of emphasis for Sanu alongside Coach Chris Johnson. They have wanted to make the last 200 the strongest part of her race, and that's what contributed to her running that near collegiate record in this event. Look at how she's charging, going down the straightaway. She shifts into that next gear as flawlessly and fluently as anyone. Lauren Tolbert charging to the finish, getting ahead of Chepinjetich.
She lets up at the tape, which is sometimes not the good thing to do, but she does get that second automatic qualifying spot. Jallo 1:58.89, fastest qualifying run in meet history. And Lauren Tolbert at 1:59.69 just misses her lifetime best. Janet Kemboy Amimo also under 2 minutes. I think it's going to be 2 minutes to make the final. Gladys Chepinjetich also under 2 minutes.
Such a testament to just how deep this field is. Look at the strength of Sanu Jallo Lockhart and what she is able to do, the way she is able to showcase that kick. She knew with a field being that it is, having Gladys Chepinjetich, the indoor champion, someone she went head-to-head with at that championship a few months ago, knew exactly what she needed to do. She needed to go out, set the tone, own this race from the beginning, and certainly proved exactly that. Now she's in search of her first NCAA 800-meter title.
4 runners under 2 minutes in that third and final heat. And I'm interested to see, yes, you had to break 2 minutes just to make the final. 5 years ago, it was a rarity. Now it's mandatory at this level if you want to make the final at the NCAA championships. Okay, let's put some hurdles back on the track and make them run around the track one time, because that's not so hard, is it? 400 hurdles are next. More decathlon, event 7, the discus.
All right, Dwight, here's a shout out to Long Beach State. This is Ryan Gregory, the senior. First attempt in the discus.
Yes!
And as soon as it left his hands, he knew it was a good one. Let's take a look at this slow-mo. The discus, a very precarious event in the decathlon. But the senior finds his line. A little bit of hesitation there at the end, but he would put one out there. And he likes where it's landed. 141 feet, 2 inches. For the senior, and he will begin moving up the points table. We'll see where he can land in the 1,500 meters. This is KJ Bird, Kenneth Bird out of Louisville. He's still in the mix. This is a third attempt for him. Decent hurdle race. Expected something a little bit bigger, but he'll take 138 feet, 10 inches for 712 points. All right, now here is your leader after 6 events, Ben Barton of BYU. Tall, rangy individual, should be a good discus thrower. Pretty solid down the right side there, but he'll get a mark on his second attempt. They go 138 feet, 3 inches for 708 points, and he will continue to lead this decathlon.
Reminder that you can watch all of the field event action as it's happening on ESPN+. You got the shot put going on, the women's long jump, pole vault that continues. Check in with all those events anytime you wish. As we get ready now for the 400-meter hurdles, 3 semifinals in that event. Savannah Sutherland with the meet and NCAA records just set last year. And in this first semifinal heat, we're looking at Georgia sophomore Michelle Smith from the Virgin Islands, 3rd in this event last year.
Well, Coach Carroll at Georgia was just so high on this young lady last year as a freshman. She was runner-up at the SEC championships this year. Such a trooper, such a fighter. Broke the 400-meter hurdle record at Georgia last year, running 54.56, and that was a mark that stood since 1996. Here she is in an NCAA final again. This is Amelia Berdow having a really good outdoor season. She was third place at the SEC Championships, as you see there. Formerly at TCU, broke the 400-meter hurdle record at TCU. She comes over to Texas, moves into the number 3 all-time on the Texas list. There's Anaya Woodruff representing the Howard Bisons, coached by David Oliver. And David Oliver's done a really good job, built his program around short hurdlers, long hurdlers, and she's one of 2 athletes here at the NCAA Championships in the 400 meters. We'll see her teammate, Sanaya Billups, in Heat 3.
It's a lane race, so the top 2 finishers automatically qualifying through to the final. And then the next 3 fastest times or the 3 semifinals. It's easy to see who's in the lead. It's who's ever over the hurdle first. Early on, it's looking like Amelia Berto going well down the home stretch. Tough to see what kind of wind's going on. We're looking at the flags that are straight down, but we've got a breeze up here in our position.
Well, Berto looks like she's on good rhythm right now. You see her out front. Ooh, a little bit of a stutter there. Had to take that with her left. Here comes Michelle Smith. Michelle Smith, final hurdles are her best hurdles. Always well conditioned, and Woodruff still in the race.
Berto still leading over the 9th hurdle. Here comes number 10 with Michelle Smith making a move on the inside, but Woodruff will not go away. It's going to be Berto and Smith are the automatic qualifiers. 55.63 for the sophomore from Georgia. Excuse me, for the junior from Texas, I should say. And then Michelle Smith getting second. Those are the automatic qualifiers. Anaya Woodruff at 56.30. She'll have to wait to see how that holds up with 2 heats remaining.
Well, this is the toughest part of the race. We always tune in here with 100 meters to go to see these athletes really scrambling. Haven't seen Michelle Smith in this kind of distress in a while, but Amelia Berto just continues to blaze away here. Nice finish for her, 55.63. But conditions are good out there. But man, this race can take a toll, and these athletes have been stressing about this last couple days since they've been here. Get on the track and get out there, but Berto will get to the finals. Nice little dance there.
We also know it's going to be a hot one on Saturday. The prediction is for temperatures in the mid-80s, as Berto is the heat winner. Michelle Smith, the second automatic qualifier, and Woodruff, Mercera, and Anouk Kraus-Jentz will have to wait to see how the next 2 semifinal heats go on time. And heat number 2, featuring Akila Garrett, who is the collegiate leader currently at 53.87. She was the runner-up last year. And of course, if you're a coach, you want to try and get your athlete ready at the most important meets, and that's the conference, the regionals, and the nationals. It's tough to hold a peak over 4 weeks, but it's important to be ready here. And we talked to her about that exact subject, about reaching your peak at the right time.
The whole team, we operate off of faith and relying on what God gives us and the gifts that we have. And He instills in me every day that I have a gift, and I haven't even unlocked my full potential yet, is what He tells me. So that's why I'm so excited to see what I could do here at Nationals, because I haven't even reached peak. So what is peak?
Well, interesting to think that she hasn't peaked quite yet, because she's run some really good races, ran some great races last year, but she is a grinder. This athlete will battle through stress and pressure, but also pain. Dealt with a lot of pain in some injuries in 2024, still showed up and ran the Olympic trials, but you never know what kind of hairstyle you're going to get from Akila Garrett, and she's very fashionable. And I asked Tim Hall earlier, I said, who decides what color hair the ladies from South Carolina are going to go? Because you see, there you go, Kendall Harrington Spain of South Carolina as well, certainly. That's the same color of hair that Jamisha Ford decided to go with here. But 9th place at the SEC Outdoor Championships. But look at, you think, how can a 9th place finisher be here to the NCAA Championships? A lot of these athletes just stepped up their games at the regionals. They find themselves here at the NCAA. You got a lane, you got an opportunity to get to the finals. And also in lane 5, Kelsey Belquist of Nebraska, just a sophomore. She's gone 55-24. Let's keep an eye on Big Red there in the middle of the track.
Well, it's like Coach Jimmy V said, you've got to put yourself in position to win. And today is all about surviving and advancing and putting yourself in a position to win, because you can't win unless you get to the final. Garrett in 6, Belquist in 5, Harrington Spain in 4. Garrett out a little slower than normal, with Belquist in the early lead. Stutter step for Belquist, that definitely stifled her momentum.
Well, I'll tell you, the marketing group has got to love the hairstyles here by the track team, because they're real easy to spot and to pick out there. Here comes a Kayla Garrett. It's almost like she was just chilling to the 200 meters and then decided, okay, time to change gears, time to take over.
It's Garrett and Harrington Spain. Now, Harrington Spain is well back. It's Belquist. It's Garrett dominating, with Belquist second. Those are going to be your automatic qualifiers. Okay, Garrett just shutting it down and running 54.49. With Belquist well back at 55.94, but she's an automatic qualifier with that time, and that's position. And we will be back with the third and final heat of these 400-meter hurdles. Step aside for a moment. Kayla Garrett making it look easy. That's why she's the collegiate leader in the event. Back in Eugene, Oregon for more of our coverage of the 2026 NCAA Track and Field Championships. John Anderson, Dan O'Brien, Laura Overton, and me, Dwight Stones, bringing you the action. Third and final semifinal on the 400-meter hurdles. This is Sanaya Billups. This is her NCAA debut. She is the conference champion this year at 55.86. She has a better personal best, though, from 2 weeks ago at the East Regional. That is how she got here.
Well, she won her heat and improved over this single season. Huge improvement for her, over 2 seconds of improvement, just a sophomore. So she has got a big upside following this year's competition. We got a chance to see her teammate and talked about her coach just briefly there. David Oliver's done a great job at Howard. Cut his career short to become the head coach at Howard, and got a chance to see him over on the practice track today. And there's Sarah Prince, transferred from Arizona State University, and talked to Coach Chris Johnson about her earlier today. And I just said she's tough. I like her attitude, and I got to know her a little bit at Arizona State. And he said, you know, she's like an old Chevy pickup that is just so reliable. And I said, oh, I don't know if Sarah would like to be related to an old Chevy pickup there, but that's right. But I'm digging it, Dwight. You got it. But no, Sarah Prince, she is very reliable, and a great 400-meter hurdle. There is Venice Nayagasira, fourth place at the SEC Championships, really has come on strong last few weeks of this season.
Every entry in this heat in the 55s, from low to mid to upper, so it should be a very competitive race. Only the top 2 finishers can automatically qualify through to Saturday's final, though the bubble is 56.52. It took 56.39 to make the final last year. Billups in 6, Prince in 7, Nayagasira in 8. And Nayagasira out to a very slow start. Prince is going very strong in lane 7 for Arkansas.
Yeah, it was either a slow start for her or a real quick start for Sarah Prince. She's pushing the pace here. I'd like to see her charging. She's got to stay within that lane, though. And look at those hurdles on the turn. She's on her pattern right now, opening it up. There she has to make an adjustment. Switches to her left leg lead. So much of this race about pattern and rhythm.
Very close between Balde and Billups for that second spot. And now here comes Lavina Owusi of Texas Tech. So it is Prince who's going to win the heat. Now here comes Sinai Billups, but in lane 8, she gets leaned out. Negasera came back from nowhere, from dead at 200 meters to get that second qualifying spot. That is strength that is necessary to run this event. And she grabs that second automatic spot by 3/100ths of a second over Billups, but Billups ran fast enough to be a time qualifier.
Well, look how far back Venice Nagasera is from Kentucky there, second on the left in the dark uniform. Sarah Prince out front. Look at Sarah Prince smile here as she gets over that hurdle. You see her smile. She knows she took that with her non-dominant leg, as she takes that one as well with a left and just strides her way all the way to the finish. But what a finish by Nagasera. And Sarah Prince trying desperately just to relax. So hard to do that in this race. So much
pain.
Fatigue and pain. You got it.
Well, there are the official results, with Negasera getting that second automatic spot by 3/100ths, but Billups running fast enough to get through on time. So let's take a look at the advancers and see what it took. It was 56:39 last year, took 56:11. Everyone else under 56 seconds to make it into the women's 400 hurdle final on Saturday. All right, so they take the hurdles off the track, they cut the track in half, and we will see the defending champion, Jamisha Ford, in her 200-meter semifinal heat. She's already qualified in the 100 meters for Saturday. We are back in Eugene. Time now for 3 semifinal heats in the women's 200. Has it been 4 years since Abby Steiner ran that spectacular 2180 right here in Hayward Field? I guess it has been. That is the meet and NCAA record. And it's a lane race, so the top 2 finishers are going to qualify through automatically. There is Jamisha Ford. She's the defending champion, and she does it all. She's already qualified in the 100 meters. She's trying to get qualified here in her main event. She also runs a 400. We'll maybe see her in the 4x4 relay. She's already been the anchor for the 4x1 relay.
Well, amazingly enough, last year she won the 100 meters and the 200 meters at the SEC Championships. This year we saw her run the 400 meters, so just very rare ability to run the 1, 2, and the 4, but she has just been an anchor for this South Carolina Gamecock squad. Broke the school record last year. See what she can do this year. I think we need to be on record watch. So you talk about Abby Steiner, 2180. We've got a great field here. Tyra Kelly of Baylor. She goes in the lane just inside of Jamisha Ford, 21-year-old senior out of Plano, Texas. She's gone 22:19. And it wouldn't be a 200-meter NCAA championship without a couple of USC Trojans, and Christine Mallard goes in lane 8. Last year the Trojans went 2 and 3 with White and Deja DeFran. We'll see if Christine Mallard now can get into the finals, score some points for the Trojans. She's gone 22:44 this season.
So the main contenders are in 6, 7, and 8. Kelly, Ford, Mallard. And they bring them up because of the noise. So they will take their time to reset. Seems like we've been talking about Jamisha Ford for far too long for her to only be a junior.
Well, she came into the conference and immediately made an impact, and I think that's what we're seeing more of nowadays. High school kids coming onto big teams, SEC, Big Ten, and immediately making an impact. And get ready. U20s, USATF juniors are next week. Nike Outdoor Nationals, and these kids are going crazy. You have 8th grade kids running fast nowadays.
Of course, with the NIL rules now, it's not as attractive to go pro. It's not a bad thing to stay in college, which I think is a good thing.
Well, they stood them up, but there are 4 field events going on at the same time as this 200 meters. Long jump, javelin, shot put, and the pole vault, all still underway.
And they are away. Ford third from the left. Kelly inside her, Mallard outside.
Well, Christine Mallard did a great job there in the first 70 meters, holding off Jamisha Ford, making her really work. And
Jamisha Ford pulls up. Race continues. This is Yanari Lyons of Howard. And second is going to be Tyria Kelly. Well, that's way cause for concern. It's a school record for Yanari Lyons of Howard at 22:36. Tyria Kelly of Baylor ends up second at 22:51. Those are your automatic qualifiers, but the concern now on the track here is what happened with Jamisha Ford. Right as she was transitioning from the curve to the straightaway, she pulled up, and of course we don't want to speculate, cramp, pull, or any of those things, but she is not going to qualify through in the 200, that's for sure.
Well, there you see her third from the left. She got to about the 100-meter mark, took a couple of gingered steps, and then just backed off. But a huge personal best there for Yanari Lyons of Howard, 22:36, 0.3 better. But here we take a look. She must have just felt something on that left leg.
Well, she's got a compression sock on her right calf. So I'm wondering if maybe that could have been it. She didn't jump up in the air like it was a hamstring. But, she's going very, very fast to try and come to some type of a stop without further injuring herself is a big, big challenge. So we'll try and get some information with regards to her condition, and we'll bring it to you when we can. There are the official results, with Lyons and Kelly being the automatic qualifiers. Let's transition over to more decathlon and the pole vault, event number 8.
All right, they are winding this thing down. Here's Ben Barton, your leader after 7 events. Pole vault, not one of his best events, but he would almost stiff pole his way over 14.1 3/4 on a second attempt, and that would be as high as he would go. And here's the freshman from Illinois having a really solid meet. First attempt, 15.9 1/4. And he would get over on his first attempt. And adding up the points there, 852 points for Pelkman, 705 for Barton. Josh Mooney, the junior from Connecticut, now third attempt, 16 feet 1, 4 meters 90. Third attempt. Would love those points in the back. Boom, he stays really patient on the pole. Stays really patient on the pole, and he gets over for 883 points. Now the best pole vaulter in the group, KJ Bird, third attempt, 17 feet 9 inches. Just manages the pole so well, and he would get over that on a third attempt. Look at that clearance. An expert pole vaulter for over 1,000 points, 1,039 points. And by rights of that victory there in the pole vault, KJ Bird would take the lead in the decathlon. And let's remember, Dwight, last year, after the big 2-day session here at the NCAA Championships, she was wheeled out on a wheelchair.
You can tell she is very upset. I think that's more disappointment than pain, but I could be just speculating there. So the defending champion is out of the event in the 200. That opens things up, obviously, as we get ready for heat number 2. We're looking at Cameron Dixon of Texas A&M. I don't believe she qualified through in the 100 meters. I'll check with Tom Lewis to see if she did. She will start in lane number 6. This is her 4th NCAA outdoor semifinal appearance in both the 100 and the 200. Looking to reach her first final in either event. That's tough.
Well, she's running as well as she ever has. I think her odds are pretty good. There's Kayla Jackson. What does she do? All she does is make finals. Here in the 200 meters, she was 6th place at the SEC Championships. That's how good the SEC was this year. But in her final season as well. And there's Shanti Jackson now, just a sophomore at LSU. We only saw her do single event and the relay at the SEC Championships. But here she's letting it all out at the regionals. She wants to qualify in the 1 and the 2. She's already through in the 4x1, the 100 meters. And now she's trying to make the finals in the 200.
Transfer from Arkansas to LSU. Guess he had a nice, quiet stadium, unlike the first one.
Cameron Dixon is rolling here in the first 100 meters.
It's Dixon off the turn and continuing to press her lead. Shanti Jackson of LSU now starting to catch up. It's going to be Dixon and Shanti Jackson are your automatic qualifiers through to the final. She runs 22:22, does Dixon. Very close to her lifetime best. Shanti Jackson, 22:45, also very close to her lifetime best with a 1.1 meter per second at their back.
Well, and look at that smile. Look at Cameron Dixon, how she attacked that first 70, 80 meters of the race, comes off the turn, stands nice and tall, and it's just rhythm and tempo all the way to the line. You see Shanti Jackson on the inside. You're kind of looking, where's Kayla Jackson back there in fourth place? But look at the determination there by Cameron Dixon. And she'll hit the line, and just what a smile you'll see. And she'll make her first outdoor final here in the 200 meters.
In her 8th semifinal at the NCAA Championship, she finally makes a final. 22:22, a fine time and a dominating performance. Jackson with the second automatic qualifier, and Alexis Brown gets third. The bubble goes down to 22:64, which is Kayla Jackson. All right, over to Dan for more decathlon.
All right, we can keep talking about the decathlon, but hey, let's get to the women's pole vault here. This is Hannah Mall. First attempt, 14.4 3/4. Conditions look great over there. Big clearance by the junior from Washington. The defending champion getting it done on her first attempt. Anna Willis, sophomore from South Dakota. Coached by Derek Miles. First attempt for her, 14.10 3/4. Slight brush and she gets over. So she's putting the pressure on the Mall twins, and now here's Amanda Mall. Her first attempt at 14.10 after a couple of rough jumps earlier. Now she's looking good as the bar goes up. And the competition will continue, but Anna Willis over 14.10. Molly Haywood over 14.10. Now here's Hannah Mall, first attempt for her at 14.10. And she's really patient on that. But that is a first attempt miss for her. But Ashley Callahan also over 14.10. But Hannah Mall, 2 more attempts at that bar, as well as Sarah Borton.
Third and final heat. This one features the new collegiate record holder in the 100 meters, Deja Haj. She ran an incredible 10.63 in her 100-meter semifinal, obliterating Sha'Carri Richardson's collegiate record. She is the collegiate leader in this event, 21.92. She ran 4 weeks ago at the SEC Championships.
Well, and what's amazing is I would have said before that 100 meters that she's a stronger 200-meter runner than she is a 100-meter runner. Here she is. How do you recover after a world record? You've got to be really strong mentally. She probably went back to the team tent, sat down with coach, and she had to tell her, you got to put it behind you. You've got to put that behind you. It's going to be interesting what Jacoby Tharp does tomorrow in the final. You got to put that world record behind you and get ready for another race.
Whoa, cowboy, just a collegiate record.
Collegiate record, excuse me. I'm used to seeing world
Or are
records.
you a fortune teller? Deja Dufresne, we saw her in the 100 as well. She will be just outside of Hodge in lane number 7. That's good for Hodge, actually.
Well, she finished third last year behind her teammate Madison White. She's been running really well this season, 22:20. Excuse me, 22:28 as a season best.
Back to Hodge for just a minute. She was the flag bearer at the Olympic Games for the British Virgin Islands at age 18, and she was a semifinalist in the 200, so she has been to the mountain. And they pull them up, so they will reset. which gives us a chance to take a look at Jasmine Montgomery of Texas A&M, who'll be down there in lane 5 and gets the advantage of having Deja Hodge right outside of her.
And Jasmine Montgomery, a former Duck. She transferred over to Texas A&M, and I asked her, I said, what's it like to be back in Eugene? She said, I come back here all the time, but she lived just blocks from the stadium. She said, I just lived right over there on Franklin, and she's just so familiar, and says she likes coming back here because she knows the place so well. But also Gabby Matthews in lane 8 from Florida. She's already qualified through in the 100 meters.
Bubbles 22.64. It took 22.59 to make the final last year, and there's certainly enough talent in this third and final heat to lower that bubble.
Gabby Matthews, number 2 in Florida history in the 200 meters behind Kyra Jefferson. Kyra Jefferson won that NCAA title back in 2017, running 22.02.
Montgomery in 5, Hodge in 6, DeFran in 7. DeFran going well in the turn, as is Gabby Matthews. Now here comes Hodge. Hodge now takes the lead. DeFran trying to stay up with her. Here comes Gabby Matthews. It's going to be Hodge, the heat winner, and Matthews gets the second automatic qualifying spot with DeFran very close behind. 21.96 for Hodge, and she gets another very favorable win. 1.7 meters per second at her back. And that is just off her lifetime best of 21.92.
Well, look at the power and the strength. Great start for Deja DeFran. Really did a good job of pushing that first 100, putting the pressure on a Deja Hodge. Looked like a Deja Hodge ran that turn just a little bit conservative, but here's where a Deja Hodge, the strength kicks in. And when you think about being a strong sprinter, a Deja Hodge, she opened up her outdoor season running under 51 seconds in the 400 meters, and that carries over here to the 200 as well. But Deja getting it done, putting that 100-meter collegiate record behind her, concentrating at the task at hand, and dipping under 22 flat.
Okay, and for you track nerds, Merlene Ottey ran 10.93 and 21.66 in 1990. Hodge ran 10.63 and 21.96. They both together 32.57 for the two events together. That and 4.75 will get you a venti vanilla latte at Starbucks. She is downstairs now with John Anderson.
Thanks, Dwight. Yeah, I'm the first guy that caught her all day, and it took me 2 races before I got a hold of her. Let's start with the immediate thing that just happened here. Sub 22, you qualify for the final. I don't know the 21.96's routine, but it sure looked that way. Describe the race to us.
Honestly, I just wanted to run a good 150 and look around, check to see if anyone, and shut it down. Like you said, it's been a full day, so get ready for Saturday.
So this was not a come down, not a let down, but it was not the highlight of the day, which was 10.63 in the 100. I don't know if you bothered to see that because you took off so fast and you kept going. What do I feel, what do I think of 10.63?
Feel great. I think that's a great accomplishment, but the job isn't over, and it's all in God's plan.
Where did you find the extra tenths, though, to drop your PR to 10.63, which is a new collegiate record?
Definitely in the start. I feel like I was wasting too much time in the air in my start, but we fixed that over a couple of weeks.
And real quick, where did you go? Because you went through here like a house of fire and then just kept going.
Man, I had to get back on the table. I know it was a quick turnaround for the 2, and I got to make sure my body's okay.
Congratulations to you and the massage therapist who got you ready to come back out.
Thank you.
All right, Dwight, back up to you.
All right, when we return to Eugene, we will wrap up the decathlon, the 1,500 meters, the 10th and final event of the competition. We will bring it to you.
Welcome back to Eugene and the 9th event of the decathlon, the javelin. And after the pole vault display that Kenneth Bird put on, he is your leader going into the 9th event, and here is his first attempt in the javelin. Yesterday it was the left knee strapped up. Today it's the right elbow strapped up. He got 159 feet on that first attempt. And Ben Barton, who led for the first 6 events, would send out a big one on his second attempt. Hit right between the 50 and 60 meter lines there. He got 180 feet 11 for a personal best. Move himself back up into contention for the title. This is a freshman from Illinois. His second attempt. He's looking for a big throw to get him within striking distance of the lead. And in the second round, Pelkman's, the Big Ten champ, would go 189 feet even for an all-time personal best. So as it stands here after the 9th event, Kenneth Bird is your leader. Ben Barton 50 points behind, and Luke Pelkman's 201 points behind.
All right, so the idea here is that Bird's got a 50-point lead over Barton, but Barton is a superior 1,500-meter runner. 7 points per second is the difference in time. So Barton has to beat Bird by more than 7 seconds in this 1,500 if he wants to retake the lead and win the title.
It's a long shot here, but Luke Pelkman's has a much greater superior 1,500, a much faster 1,500-meter PR than both Barton and Bird. He's run 4:21, and so he could overtake both of them. It would have to be a Herculean effort, but he could come away with the victory here.
There's 11 seconds difference in their 1,500 PRs. Big field. Maximus Tucker of Georgia is probably going to be the guy to win the actual race itself. He's run 4:07. We saw him running the 800 meters at the conference meet a month ago, just for grins.
Set a personal best in the 800 in doing so, taking the opportunity to sharpen up his middle distance strength. Actually a high school cross-country runner as well, not only a multi-event athlete, a multi-sport athlete, cross-country, track and field, basketball, and golf.
Well, we all play golf as decathletes. It's how we unwind. It's
That's
how
the
we
11th
relax.
event.
Yeah. There you get a chance to see Mike Bennett there up in front of Luke Pelkman's, but Pelkman's gone 4:21, and that is an incredibly fast time for a guy of his size and just a freshman, just a prototype decathlete for Petros Kyprianou, but 63 seconds for Maximus Tucker, and he's showing every bit that he's got the best VO2 max in the group.
What we really need to look at is that separation between Barton and Bird as this race develops. There's Ryan Gregory, go Beach, Cal State Long Beach.
Well, there's Ben Barton in the blue uniform there. Had a chance to talk to his coach earlier, Tiffany Hogan. She was not thrilled with the one and done in the pole vault, but Ben Barton finds himself on the verge now of an opportunity to win an NCAA title. The last time an athlete from BYU won the decathlon was 1979 and 1981. Tito Steiner came away the champion for BYU. But there you see the tall figure in the blue, Ben Barton. With Kenneth Bird nowhere in sight. Pelkman's, there's Kenneth Bird. Now he's creeping up on the outside, staying within contact.
He needs to be within 7 seconds or less at the finish to hold on to the lead. He only had a 50-point lead coming into this final event. So he needs to keep his eyes on the back of Barton and make certain that he doesn't get about 60, 70 meters ahead of him.
Well, and I've been in that same position as Kenneth Bird. Can't let a guy get too far out in front of you, and you just have to stay in contact. Listen to your coaches, listen to the splits, but also eye the back of the jersey of the guy that you're just trying not to let get away. There's Ben Barton. Looks like he's definitely in distress there, just with about a lap and a quarter to go.
Barton's done a good job, though, of attaching himself to those front two and allow them to bring him along coming up to the bell lap. And he now gets around, going to the second lane to try to navigate around that pack and close in.
There's Pelkman with the big eye on his chest. Oh, that was DeGrief. 6-second lead for Barton. He needs to be 7+ seconds ahead at the finish.
Well, and you know KJ Bird is feeling the pain, but he looks pretty good. He's standing straight up and down. He's moving his arms very well. He's lifting his knees a little bit. He's staying in contact. He sees Ben Barton ahead of him, and he's responding.
300 meters to go for Barton. Still 6 seconds. Barton with 200 meters to go. He's going to have to put out a little bit of a sprint because he is the hunted. And Bird is the hunter. Tom Lewis has a watch on it. He will keep us honest, but it looks like it's going to be close as Pelkman's now getting ready to cross the finish line. Currently in third.
And Pelkman will finish right around his all-time personal best. There you see Ben Barton on the left of your screen struggling to get to the finish. Is it been enough?
Clock is ticking. Here comes Bird. .1 seconds. That would mean that Barton did what he needed to do. He only needed 7+ to catch him. It's unofficial. But with our calculations, I think that he just beat him by about 15 points. We've got 82.19 unofficially for Ben Barton.
Well, both guys left it out there on the track. Kenneth Bird, he looked like he could barely stand when he hit the finish line. But Ben Barton's going to be here, 2026 NCAA champ. 82.19, and Kenneth Bird 81.60. Both guys PR, and when you look at personal best through 6th place, and there they are congratulating one another.
So that big pole vault is what put KJ Bird in the lead. It gave him a chance at the title in this 10th and final event, but Barton just dug down. Of course, he's drowning in oxygen down here in Eugene by comparison to where he trains up in Provo. So there's Barton finishing, and he pushed himself to the title for the first time at BYU in 40+ years. All right, we did our calculations, and I wasn't off by much. I said he beat him by about 10 to 15. Well, Ben Barton managed to beat Kenneth Bird by 9 points, a little bit more than a second's worth of difference between Bird and Barton in that final event. But Barton becomes the first BYU decathlete to win the title in 45 years. Okay, here's our one track final of the day. Women's 10,000. Pamela Kosgei is the defending champion as well as the meet record holder. And the NCAA record is from Jane Hendegren from earlier this year. And those are the two athletes we are featuring in this race. It should be a good one. There is Jane Hendegren, the freshman from BYU.
In addition to sweeping those 3,000 and 5,000 meter titles at the NCAA Indoor Championship, she became the first ever NCAA freshman woman to complete that sweep. Here's a look at her resume over the last year, setting collegiate records in the 10,000 and 5,000 outdoors as well as the indoor 5,000 meters, and in talking with her coach, Diljit Taylor, she said every time we're on the track, we're running to the best of her ability. It's not about paying attention to the records. It's go, run, and race based on what Jane is doing in practice, then translate that to a race effort. This is Pamela Kosgei, who swept the 5,000 and 10,000 meter titles at this meet last year, setting the meet record as we noted. And she and Jane Hendegren are the two fastest women in NCAA history in this event. In fact, Pamela Kosgei owns 3 of the top 5 all-time NCAA marks.
Checking the current weather. Oh, we'll go back to this flashback. Here is the...
There have been multiple head-to-head battles between these two this season. This the most recent at the NCAA West Regional to qualify for the NCAA Championships. Pamela Kosgei pushing Jane Hendegren far to the outside. Hendegren closing in 64 seconds for that last lap to edge Pamela Kosgei. That broke a 17-year-old facility record in Fayetteville. Their coaches admitted they ran a little bit harder than they probably wanted them to, but that's what you can expect when these two competitors step on the track every single time. You know it's going to be a battle.
All 24 athletes on the track, 12 from the West Regionals in Fayetteville, which is where that clip is from, and 12 from the East Regionals in Lexington just a couple of weeks ago. Checking the current conditions, it's still a little warm here in Eugene, 73 degrees, but the sun is off the track except for that part of the turn just after the 200-meter start. So not ideal conditions for running 10,000 meters, but is what it is. And it's going to be tougher on Saturday because it's supposed to be a lot warmer.
Rosina Machu of Gonzaga taking the early lead, followed by Florida State's Riley Blade, the exceptional freshman and ACC conference champion from just last month, as Jane Hendegren is happy to settle there on the outside, just in about 5th, 6th position, being pretty conservative, seeing this one, kind of everyone feeling out the rest of the field. Also, there you go, get a great shot there of Jane and Pamela, who are side by side, just as they were at the Stanford meet, in which they both broke Parker Valby's previous collegiate record. So these two went head-to-head at Stanford and then back against each other at the Fayetteville regional meet, as we saw just a few weeks ago. And for Jane, this whole outdoor season has not been focused on outcomes. It's been focused on the process as they go through that 484 seconds. The direction from Coach Taylor for Jane is to look at racing as 1 foot in joy and 1 foot in suffering. And I don't know that you can describe the 10,000 meters any better than absolutely having to acknowledge the suffering that goes along with it. Coach Taylor said, if you feel like you have 2 feet in suffering in the sport, you have to reevaluate. That being said, if you have 2 feet in joy and it's just always fun, you probably need to reevaluate too. So they've really focused on just what Jane needs to do, how she attacks each and every day in practice and in preparation, knows the outcomes will happen. Although the outcomes have been a big part of her story, Coach Taylor said there is so much more to Jane Hendegren and what makes her so special, not only as an athlete, but as an individual. Riley Blade, the freshman, very impressive there up front, as she is on the outside of Joy Nowcott from West Virginia. Blade set a meet record at the ACC Championships over 10,000 meters, personal best of 32:35.72. So multiple freshmen of note in this field. Talked about the Oregon Ducks and big team implications for them as well. Diana Chirotich of Oregon among those in the field. You can see she's there in the rail, on the rail. It's always easy to distinguish that green of the host Ducks when you have a big pack together, and had an opportunity to talk to Shalane Flanagan about Diana Chirodich, and she said although she's still quite young in the sport, she really carries some big expectations and had a lingering hamstring issue last year outdoors, was also starting to adapt to some NCAA races. So they've really focused on competing hard and the mental approach to prepare her for the NCAA championships.
It's a really dangerous situation that is occurring there with that pack. It went out in 84 and then 87.5. They've slowed even more so, and now we're starting to pick things up in the front, but the pack is not necessarily going with them. Now they finally are, but you got athletes going all the way out into lane 3 just to have a place for their foot to go, so that they don't step on someone else.
That's
always a problem.
Yeah, Jaden Keeler from North Dakota. This was a similar strategy she used at the regional meet in qualifying, really tried to challenge the field to go with her. So glad to see somebody break this one open with a response from Hendegren and Kosgei, not allowing her to get too much of a gap on the rest of the field. 79.5, that last 400 meters with the leading duties of Keeler, a 13-time Summit League champion across this 10,000 meter distance, also the 5,000 and the steeplechase.
So we have 3 laps under our belt. Pace is established. So we are going to step outside for the first time. When we come back, more of our coverage of this 10,000 meter final. Back to the 10,000 meters when they cross the start finish. They'll have 19 laps remaining, so a good time to slide over to Dan for a field update.
Well, we have seen some dominant athletes in the sprints and hurdles and in the distance races, but let's take a look at another dominant athlete. This is Axelina Johansson, 2025-26 NCAA indoor champion. She was 3rd at the World Indoor Championships this year, and in the 3rd round, she would go 65 feet 4 1/4 for a new meet record. But believe it or not, this is not a PB for her. She breaks the meet record. And she would be the one to catch. This is Ashley Erasmus, the sophomore from USC. 3rd at the Big Ten Outdoor Championships, 5th last year at these championships. Steady improvement all season long for Ashley, and she would put one out there at a 59.6 1/4 in the 5th round, but she would be the closest one to the young lady from Nebraska. Go Big Red, a national outdoor title for Coach Justin St. Clair and Axelina Johansson.
So back to the 10,000 meters. When they cross the start finish, they will have 18 laps remaining. Pace has certainly picked up from the early pedestrian pace that we were seeing.
76, 75.5, and then another 76 with those lead duties of Jaden Keeler. And then Jane Hendegren is in a very comfortable position behind her with another 76-second lap right there. Pamela Kosgei in tow behind Hendegren. And in talking with New Mexico coach Darren Gosson, as you can kind of see Pamela tucked in behind Hendegren, that turquoise jersey of New Mexico that they wear in championship racing. He said Jane has really provided a challenge for us, and you saw Pam try some different strategies, try to throw in some hard laps to get some separation on Jane at Stanford, also try to do that at the West Regional Qualifier. And she said Pam really relishes, Darren said that Pam really relishes the challenge, knows that Jane just makes her better and helps elevate her. One thing that's interesting too is Pamela Kosgei is a very strong steeplechase athlete as well. At the conference meet, actually ran a steeplechase to just switch gears a little bit and get off of those 10,000s and 5,000s that she would run here at the NCAA championship. She boasts the 9:15 steeplechase. She would have been in the conversation to win the steeplechase if she'd opted to go that direction, especially with Doris Lemon-Golay not racing the steeplechase in this. They go through in a 75-second lap now, so they have picked up the pace by about a second. So we will see Jane Hendegren face off again with Doris Lemon-Golay. We saw those two, the NCAA cross-country championships with Doris Lemon-Golay getting the victory there. Hendegren finishing second in cross country, and then indoors it was Jane getting the victory over Doris Lemon-Golay.
We are going to step aside because we have a injury update. Let's go down to John Anderson for that.
All right, thank you, Dwight. Here's what we know, which unfortunately is not the extent of the injury, but Jamesia Ford is still on site and going through some imaging on her left leg. It's been a long day. You see her here in the 4x1. Per her coach, Tim Hall, she was not going to run in this 4x4 qualifier, so the Gamecocks are going to try to get that team through without her. As for what happens in the 4x1, when that comes around on Saturday in that final, he's got a couple of gals that he says he's considering to replace her. They aren't going to change the order. They'll just stick her on the end, and she is going to run the anchor leg. She told me nothing was bothering her coming into the meet. And then just as for her position in the 100 meter, the open 100, per Blake Bolden here with the meet, they don't replace her position. Now, in some World Athletics, they do elevate somebody. He said that's her lane, and if she can't go, it will remain empty. So that's her condition right now, on site getting her left leg looked at, and the plans to replace her in this meet going forward. Guys?
Okay, John, thanks for that. What a shame. Come all the way to the national championships. You're the defending champion. You got nothing going on. Feel good. Run a great 4x1, make it through in the 100, and then halfway through the 200. Something happens. So something hopefully that is not too serious that she can recover from quickly enough. So a lot more of this 10,000 left to go. We're going to step aside as they come up with about 15 laps remaining, not even half the race gone yet, and we will be back with more of our coverage of the event when we come back to Eugene. Back in Eugene for more of our coverage of the 2026 NCAA Track and Field Championships. We're just about halfway through the 10,000 meter final, the only track final of the day, and we have had a change in the lead. Now Jane Hendegren, the freshman from BYU, has taken over the leading duties from defending champion Pamela Gazgai.
.77.5, 78.5, those last two laps that have now solidified Jane Hendegren at the front of the pack as they're coming up to 5,000 meters. And there is Coach Diljit Taylor. She has just passed the finish line, intently watching, focused on that stopwatch in hand, clocking the freshman phenom. And Coach Taylor says, people may look at her and think that this is all familiar to her because of what she's doing, but all of this, racing at the NCAA level, is still new territory for her. She has the same excitement, the same nerves, the same doubts as anyone else. But my goodness, the way that she has navigated what has been one of the most historic seasons we have ever seen from a collegiate distance athlete has just been so impressive, and certainly a tribute to the culture and the foundation of the program that Diljit Taylor has built.
So we're on the back half of this 10,000 meters. Let's step aside and get another field update from Dan. Women's long jump, I believe, this time.
From one great athlete to another here, we go over to the women's long jump. This is Alyssa Jones, a senior from Stanford. She's been over 23 feet this season, ACC champ. She's never won an NCAA title, and we got a chance to talk to her about it.
Yeah, so I'll admit, for long jump, my mindset is win. I've been here many times and gotten second and third, and I just want to get that first place. It's been a long time. I'm a senior now, got no eligibility left, so this is the time.
Well, right now, she is in the lead by over a foot. In the first round, she breaks the meet record, 23 feet 2 inches. And we were wondering, does she have what it takes to break the collegiate record? 7:03 today. She needs to go 7:14 to break that collegiate record by Tara Davis Woodall. But on that first attempt, we're taking a look at that first attempt, 23 feet 2 inches, and that broke a 39-year-old meet record. We're in the 5th round. She's put up 2 jumps over 23 feet. We're also going to see her in the high jump in 2 days' time as well. But there you see, she finally gets that NCAA victory. Hugs all around, coaches, family, and friends. but so many times second place, third place without the victory, and it took 23 feet to do it. There you see Juliette Whitaker celebrating her on that victory.
Back to the 10,000 meters as we take a look at the final results. She won the event by more than a foot. So she focused intently on winning this championship. This is her last meet as a collegian, and she goes out in spectacular fashion with a meet record. Alyssa Jones, and 10 points for the Cardinal. Jane Hendrickson, Pamela Kosgei, Jaden Keeler, same three that we've been seeing for many, many laps now in this 10,000 final.
Few consecutive 77-second laps. They went through the 5,000 at 16:16 pace. So you think about just how comfortable that is for Jane Hendrickson, who has run 14:50 for the collegiate record of 5,000 meters, in addition to her collegiate record over 10,000 meters and becoming the youngest American by 2 years to run sub 31. But now a 78-second last lap there as they've settled in and gotten comfortable. And Jane Hendrickson not afraid to go out to the front and command a race. We saw that at the NCAA Indoor Championship. She really front ran from the gun over the 3,000 meter event to reset that meet championship record. And Pamela Kosgei, one of the things she's focused on is, in addition to trying to get stronger, they've also really tried to refine some of her speed to make her sharper over the back half of these races and allow her to cover some of the moves that Jane Hendrickson is able to make in the latter part of a 10,000.
So when they come down the home stretch, they'll have 9 laps remaining, so we will step aside for the final time in this race, come back on the other side and give you what will certainly be an exciting finish to this race. We are back in Eugene. Less than 2 miles remaining in this 10,000 meters. When they come to the start finish, they will have 7 laps remaining. Jane Hendrickson continuing to lead and push the pace, with Pamela Kosgei, the defending champion, right behind her. Kosgei pulling off the double in 2025.
And she was dominant over 10,000 meters, set a meet record and finished 15 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. So in back-to-back years, we saw Parker Valby in 24 set the meet record at 10,000 meters. And then Pamela Kosgei betters it just last year en route to that impressive sweep over 10,000 and 5,000 meters, making Pamela Kosgei just the 4th woman to win both of those titles at the NCAA championship in the last 15 years. They've been right on 70-second 400 meters consecutively over these last laps. The last mile is where you're going to see things shake up, and these two likely separate from the rest of the field.
All right, we'll step away for a final time. I promise this time. When we come back, we'll give you the conclusion of this, what will be an exciting 10,000 meter finish. Back in Eugene, Oregon, with less than a mile remaining in this 10,000 meters, it's a group of 8 up front, headed by Jane Hendrickson, who has been in the front for about 10 laps at least, with Pamela Kosgei right behind her. Kosgei, the defending champion. Jaden Keeler, who finished 16th in this race last year, has done a nice job hanging in there in 3rd place. Betty Kipkore in 4th. Mercelyn Kerwa in 5th, Iowa State teammates. But Hendrickson doing a lot of work up there in the front, Laura.
That work is 75.5 back-to-back 400 meters. The previous 1,600 meters had been their fastest so far, going through in 5:06, and every coach that I've talked to at this championship with an athlete in this event says you gotta get to 20 laps, be there and be ready. Be prepared to close that last mile in 4:30 when it calls for it. That's the only way that you can be up and be in the fight at the top of the field. And in talking to Jane Hendrickson and Coach Diljit Taylor, Coach Taylor said the most important part of this season has really been keeping the sport fun and finding the joy at a different level, getting that variety, racing in different ways, but also having different approaches and different plans based on how Jane feels. And that's why we saw her at the conference meet at the Big 12. She ran the 1500, impressively clocked 4:10 at that meet to finish third, just behind Immaculate Gemitai, who we saw win her heat of the 1500. Also, Oklahoma State's Bila Jepkarui was in that field. So her finishing speed and that 1500-meter ability has never looked sharper for Jane Hendegren, knowing the task that this would be at the NCAA championships. And Coach Taylor said it is super important that as athletes like Jane is, as they're super young and still developing, that you don't go straight to what's comfortable on the strength side of things, but you're always honing in and touching on that element of speed, being able to finish stronger and close out even better thanks to some of those off-distance competitions. And Pamela Kosgei to this point has covered every move that Jane Hendegren has tried to make. There is a look at Coach Taylor in the pinstripe wardrobe today. Has BYU run for her down the back of the jacket, which that is the slogan of the program, slogan of the team. Jenna Hutchins, Jane Hendegren's teammate, is in this field as well. So BYU with 2 scoring opportunities. BYU brought 8 athletes here to Eugene, so one of their strongest contingents that they've had at the NCAA meet. And you can see how much the pace is quickening down the backstretch, starting to dig in just a little bit. Kosgei has well settled in on the shoulder throughout the duration of this race.
According to the flags, there's really no wind to speak of down there on the track, but still, if you're in the front, you're pushing the air aside, and Kosgei has done a nice job of drafting for about half the race. A little separation now of group of 5 up front as we're coming to the bell. Jane Hendegren, Pamela Kosgei, the defending champion, Jaden Keeler is going to pass and lap runners.
When will Kosgei attempt to make a move? This is almost a replay of what we saw at the regional meet to get here. These two battling it out, duking it out. 71.5 seconds, significantly the fastest lap we have seen so far. There are 3 up front. Pamela Kosgei goes to the lead. 200 meters to go.
Kosgei has been covering every move of Hendegren.
That's Merceline Kerwa, I believe, of Iowa State, who has charged up to the front.
They've been back and forth in 5th place with her teammate, Betty Kipkore. She is going to steal this race. Kerwa, Kosgei, Hendegren. Those are your top 3. And sometimes it's best to just sit back and let somebody else do the work for you. Not that she wasn't working.
The Big 12 10,000 meter champion takes down the collegiate record holder and the defending 10,000 meter champion in the process, plots her kick perfectly with a 62-second last 400 meters. A 30-second final 200 meters. As we take a look, you can see Kosgei makes the move first, but Merceline Kerwa covers and uses that opportunity to blow past Jane Hendegren and charging. Look how quick her turnover is. She uses her arms. Look how efficiently, how rapidly she is kicking and turning over those legs. She sat in about 5th position for the majority of this race and allowed the leaders to pull her along, preserving more than enough energy to execute an astounding closing 200 meters to win her first NCAA 10,000 meter title.
It's not like Iowa State is not used to doing this. Betsy Sena did it in 2013. Lisa Cole did it in 2008 and 2010. And Iowa State gets first and fourth. So 15 points for the Cyclones in the 10,000 meters. But more importantly, she just blew the top two away in that last 200 meters. 31:54.88 was the finishing time, and that's a pretty good time based on how slow the first 2 miles were of this race. And there's Hendegren just having talked to her coach, just didn't have another gear to go to. So an exciting finish as we expected, but maybe not the outcome we expected. So the only thing remaining are the heats of the 4x400 relay to wrap up semifinal Ladies' Day. We will bring those to you when we return to Eugene.
Welcome back to Eugene and over to the women's pole vault. Mall sisters putting on a clinic over here. Here's Hannah Mall, 3-time NCAA champ. 2 indoors, 1 outdoors. An NCAA champ has been named Mall over the last couple of seasons, and here's why.
I definitely think, the consistency at jumping those higher bars definitely gives me confidence to then jump higher. But definitely, I think the common thread that's happened this year is jumping those higher bars and then jumping to even higher bars and then being really close to clearing them. So I really want to just do that part, like have that happen.
Well, the only loss she sustained all season long is when she went to Melbourne, Australia and got beat by Nina Kennedy, the Olympic champion. Well, here's her first attempt at 15.2 3/4. And that would be a routine make for Hannah. And we go to the sister Amanda Ball, first attempt 15.6 1/2. And she would make that look routine as well. Nice hip height up there. But both of them really nice aggressive runs here. Conditions are great. Little bit of a tailwind over there on the east side. And anything Amanda can do, Hannah can do as well, but that was even a little bit bigger jump, 15.6 on a second attempt. And the pole vault continues with just Amanda and Hannah battling it out for the title now.
All right, last event of the day. 3 semifinals in the 4x400 relay. And it is a lane event, so the same qualification rules apply as we do all day. There are the NCAA meet and collegiate records by Arkansas 2 years ago. And they had all of those sub 50-second quarter milers in Fayetteville. First 2 teams across the line in each of the semifinal heats automatically qualify through to Saturday's final. And then the next 3 fastest times that were not automatic qualifiers over the 3 semifinal heats. There are your assignments for heat number 1. On paper, Tennessee with the best season best at 3:22.73 amongst this group.
The Duke Blue Devils have gone 3:26 this season. They broke the school record. That was at the East prelims. Duke Blue Devils go in lane 6. Tennessee, lane 8. Texas Longhorns in lane 7.
So here's the disclaimer we use every time. We've been given a list of relay orders, of names of relay orders. Oftentimes, those team orders are changed. We will do the best as we can to identify the athlete, but sometimes we are unable to do so correctly. So that is our disclaimer. Also, in the first leg, they stay in their lanes, pass the baton. The outgoing runner stays in their lane through the first turn, then cut to the pole on the backstretch. That's all the business.
Deja Shaw Huckabee of Central Florida has gone out to a real quick start out there to the outside. Tennessee goes with Sydney Wright. We saw her earlier today. Here comes Sydney Wright now. But certainly Tennessee, the favorite in this particular heat. They've run 4 seconds faster than anybody else. Look at Sydney Wright go now.
Tennessee will definitely pass first, followed by Iowa. 51.4 for Sydney Wright on the leadoff. This is where you sometimes get in trouble, cutting it a little too soon or stepping on the line. You got to be careful, and of course take that diagonal to the 200-meter mark. No reason to cut in too far and run extra distance.
And sometimes it's hard to tell how far ahead you are, and it's easy to back off and let some of those other teams in just a little bit, make a little bit of a move there. But that's a nice job by Giovanna Valcourt on this second leg. Let's see if she can open it up just a little bit. Here come the Duke Blue Devils.
Braylon Baker for Duke, and for Iowa, Damaris Matunga. But it is Tennessee that will pass first. They've got about a 7-meter lead going into the second exchange. Tennessee, Duke, Iowa. And then UCLA in fourth. So Tennessee with a healthy lead now to 10 meters or more. Iowa now moving nicely down the backstretch. Princess Ushi. For Duke, Maya Collins. And for Tennessee, Myra Scott.
Well, Giovanna Valcourt, 50.4 on her leg. Let's see if Myra Scott now can hold this lead. She'll hand to Esther Joseph. We saw her in the open 400 meters, but here comes Iowa.
That lead is definitely reducing. Tennessee will still pass first, and very close between Duke and Iowa on this exchange. Duke in second. Esther Joseph for Tennessee. Chioma Nwachukwu for Iowa. And for Duke, it's Lauren Tolbert.
Coming back after qualifying for the 800 meters already in that third heat, just behind Sanu Jallo. Lauren Tolbert for Duke.
Tolbert closing the gap to Esther Joseph of Tennessee. Remember, the top two finishers automatically qualifying through, and they are clear of Iowa. Tennessee and Duke. Now Duke and Tennessee. They are your automatic qualifier through to Saturday's final in the first semi of the 4x400 relay. 3:25.14. That is a season best for Duke. 3:25.21 for Tennessee. School record for Duke, actually. So school record in the semifinal, and they're in a final spot. More pole vault.
All right, I said there were two remaining competitors in the women's pole vault. This is Amanda Mall, third attempt, 15:10 and a half at a collegiate record. And she would get over it. Look at this jump from the bar point of view. But Amanda Mall, and that's the #2 jump in the world this season. And with that jump, she would move ahead of Stacy Durgila, and this is Hannah Mall, third attempt at the same bar. We'll see if she can match her sister. A little bit of a late plant and no attempt there. So Amanda Mall is going to take the NCAA title with a new championship record, and Hannah Mall will finish second. And the Mall sisters' dominance continues here in 2026.
18 points for Washington out of that pole vault as we look at the results of that first heat. School record for Duke, and Tennessee automatically in to Saturday's final. We'll bring you the remaining two semifinal heats when we return to Eugene. Second heat on the track and getting ready. Back in Eugene for the second of three semifinals in the final event of the day, the women's 4x400 relay. Looking at the leadoff runner for the defending champion Georgia Bulldogs, defending champions of this event as well as defending team titleists. And they will be in with Florida. Those are recognized as the two teams most likely to be team champions at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, I should, or weekend on Saturday. Here are the lane assignments. with Georgia in lane 6, Florida in lane 4. Remember, it's the top 2 finishers in each of these heats that automatically qualify through to the final on Saturday. And we would love it if the team title were to come down to this event.
I don't think the coaches would, but we would love it. 322 this year for Georgia. 322.54, new school record. Florida's run 323.95. South Carolina, now without Jamisha Ford, has run 323.42. Keep an eye on them out there in lane 8.
From the inside, Vanderbilt, Kansas State, Florida. Then in the middle, Nebraska, Georgia, and USC. And then on the outside, South Carolina and Kansas.
Well, Akayla Garrett goes for the first leg there for South Carolina. Ethel Amisa for Kansas. Christine Mallard goes for USC. And Vibaya Mayesareva goes for Georgia.
Quincy Penn well back for Florida, but gathering herself in this home stretch. We saw her earlier in the Open 400. But South Carolina definitely going to pass the baton first. Kayla Garrett doing a nice job on leadoff. But Georgia sneaks in there right at the end to pass first. 51.5 for Masarova. And Florida now making a big move on that turn. Sydney Sutton really running the turn hard and gives the Gators the inside track. Georgia second, running Michelle Smith.
Well, Sydney Sutton had a beautiful indoor season. She qualified in the NCAA championship, both the 200 meters and the 400 meters. I think the toll took a little bit out of her in the outdoor season, but the freshman is looking good here on this second leg. Good start for her, and she's coming in fresh.
Speaking of freshman, Joelle Trepanier of USC in third for the Trojans. So Florida will pass first. Vandy, the Commodores, currently in fourth. It's Florida, Georgia, Southern Cal, and Vanderbilt. 50.5 for Sydney Sutton of Florida, and give them about a 10-meter lead over the Bulldogs, with the women of Troy right there in third.
Tatiana Springer goes for Georgia. Malia Campbell for Florida. But Georgia's got a lot of depth in this 400 meters, just such strong training groups, and there might be athletes out there that you're not super familiar with. But if you're training every day with Dejanay Oakley and Adeja Hodge, you know you're putting in real serious work.
Takia Sensi of Southern Cal keeping the Trojans in it. Oh, and a good pass by Georgia to go by Florida. Florida really fading there in the last 50 meters or so. So now it's a battle for second as the Trojans get in there. Madison White on anchor for the women of Troy. For Georgia, Dejanay Oakley. And for Florida, Layla Haynes.
Well, I think Madison White is going to be perfectly happy just to hold this second place here. She's not going to catch Dejanay Oakley. She looks like she's just kind of holding back just a little bit. She runs better second half, but Dejanay Oakley and Georgia with a big lead.
So Georgia is going to win the heat. Now the battle is for the second automatic qualifying spot, and Florida is not letting it go. Madison White has a battle on her hands, and she finds another gear and is able to bring the Trojans in second place in an automatic pass into the final. 3:24.29 for Georgia. And a season best for USC at 3:25.97. Let's quickly go over to the pole vault. It's been a heck of a competition. A collegiate record has already been set. The bar now at 16.1 3/4 for Amanda Mole.
All right, the junior from the University of Washington attempting a collegiate record here, 16.1 3/4. And she would bail out and not make an attempt there. But they started this competition in daylight. It ends just as the sun is going down. But Amanda Mall would take one jump and retire. And she knew whether she had it in her legs or not. But there you see the pole vault results. Amanda Mall, the winner, 15:10.5 with a new championship meet record. And Hannah Mall with a collegiate record, and her sister Hannah Mall in second place. Anna Willis of South Dakota, a solid third place.
And the twin sisters are downstairs with John.
Thank you, Dwight. I am the most confused man in track and field as I try to sort out the Mall sisters. But I'm going to try. I could just go like, which one of you won? But I know it was you. And in a meet record, congratulations. What does it take when I stand in that runway and I'm down to a third attempt? What am I thinking about to make sure, especially when the title and the record's on the line?
Honestly, just relying and trusting on all the experience I've had before, like all the practice, all the competition experience, and a lot of self-belief and just focusing on your cues.
So you get the outdoor title. Your sister has the indoor title and the indoor meet record when that happened. Tell me about how your day is, because it wasn't quite championship performance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still happy with my performance today. It was a long competition, 3.5 hours, so that definitely takes a toll on the body, especially with the heat. So, you really have to play a strategic game when you're trying to jump those high bars. And I'm just really happy that she's back and jumping with me. It's good to have that push in the competition again, and I'm really happy about that. Even if I lost, I'm still happy.
So how do I keep this a happy sibling rivalry and that we're just not, pounding each other?
I mean, you don't have to do anything. We keep it happy within ourselves. I think we both take our individual victories as a shared victory, and if I lost to her, great. She beat me, and I'm really happy for her. So.
Okay, I asked your sister this question indoor. How do I know you're you?
That's a hard question. The best answer I can give you is it takes time, but you don't have that probably. So I wear gold jewelry, she wears silver jewelry.
It's all solved, right? It's perfectly clear. I don't know what I was talking about. I have this, it's crystallized.
How'd you miss that cue?
Yeah, I'm so dumb.
Okay, third and final heat, and therefore the last race of the day for the ladies. It's all championship from here on out, men tomorrow and ladies on Saturday. And this third and final heat featuring Arkansas, who are the collegiate record holders. They have run 3:20.04 this year. Scenario Butler will lead off for the Hogs. There is how they will line up. And it's not a walk-in-the-park type of heat. Arkansas, Kentucky, LSU all in this third and final heat, along with Texas A&M.
Well, that 320 by Arkansas was the number 2 all-time behind that collegiate record. But think about that 317. We got a chance to see that here at these championships a few years ago. Just a murderer's row of 400-meter runners for Arkansas. LSU's gone 323. Kentucky's 325. Texas A&M in lane 8. They've run 325 this season as well.
From the inside, Montana State, Ohio State, then Texas Tech. In the middle, Kentucky, Arkansas, and LSU. Then on the outside, Texas A&M and Clemson. Scenario Butler, as I mentioned, was the leadoff. Sorry, Dan, for Arkansas. Kennedy Burks for LSU. And Elijah Bradley for the Wildcats of Kentucky.
Well, Scenario Butler and Kaylin Brown have very similar running styles, so I looked out there and thought that was Kaylin Brown. But now we're getting to the point, we saw this in the last heat, certainly some of these athletes have qualified for individual events, so you think that Arkansas now wants to just get a big lead, let some of the people who've qualified in the individual events get a little bit of rest. And I think we saw that with Madison White from USC in the last heat. Don't think she was really challenged. I think she could have moved up into second place there very easily. Annalise Batista now goes for Arkansas on the second leg.
Arkansas with a big lead to pass first, 50.8 for Scenario Butler.
Dan, you mentioned athletes who are running multiple events. Annalise Batista already qualified in the 800 meters, so back for her second event and her third lap on the track this evening.
Well, talking about athletes who have competed as well, Cameron Dixon, she goes for Texas A&M. She's back there in 6th place right now. See if she can make a move and get the Aggies up there within striking distance. But Annalise Batista, 400-meter hurdlers and 800-meter runners, they can always come back and run another race.
It's Kaliza Smith for LSU, but a huge lead for Arkansas. For Kentucky, it's Hannah Douglas, as Arkansas passes first and has about a 20-meter lead, maybe more than that. 50.5 for Annalise Batista.
Well, and you know the Arkansas Razorbacks are just looking at the second 400 as an opportunity for some of these athletes just to get in a little bit more work today. You know, one race and done, that's probably a light workout for somebody like Kaylin Brown or Annalise Batista or even Sanu Jalou. So good opportunity to work on their speed.
And it's what they're used to, right? This is the same lineup we saw at the conference championship when all of those athletes were doubling back to run this finale. Such a testament to the willingness of all those athletes to do whatever it takes for the team, even if it means maybe sacrificing a little bit of those individual goals.
So it is Kaylin Brown on this third leg. She will hand off to Sanu Jalou. He's the second fastest 800-meter collegian ever. 50 flat for Kaylin Brown. Kentucky, Chael Johnson on anchor for them. In LSU, Skylar Franklin. The race is really for second place and that automatic spot.
Keep in mind, before Sanu Jalou ever raced an 800 this outdoor season, she opened up the season with a 51.1 open 400 meters. She has been focused on this 400-meter speed, running multiple open 400 meters in preparation for the championship.
So that race for second is between Kentucky and Texas Tech. And LSU now coming back. LSU into third with a head of steam. Arkansas crosses the line. Here comes LSU. Skylar Franklin is going to grab that second spot for the Tigers. With Kentucky third, 3:21.90 for Arkansas. It's the second fastest in meet history. Third best in collegiate history. LSU runs 3:29.10. Which is well off their season best. And Kentucky at 3:29.28 should get through on time.
So much for taking it easy.
Yeah, Arkansas definitely didn't take it easy. There are your advancers. It took 3:29.28. Kentucky did get that last spot to get into Saturday's final. Well, we can't wrap it up without closing out the field events, and for that, Dan has the javelin.
Wow, it's been a great night of field events here in Hayward Field. This is Evelyn Bliss, a junior from Bucknell in the women's javelin. She's the collegiate leader coming in. 3 times she's won the Patriot League. Last year, she was 12th in these championships. And the top 3 throwers, we would see their best throws in the 6th round. It was absolutely a beautiful way to close out this javelin competition. She got 197, 9 inches on her final throw. And this is Michaela van der Woesthuizen, the senior from Rice, from South Africa, the American Conference champion. She was 7th at these championships last year, and she would send one over the 60-meter line. Wait for the mark, 199 feet, 8 inches, and finish with a personal best here at the championships. This is Irene Jepkemboy, the junior from TCU. 3 times she's a Big 12 outdoor champ. She was 3rd at these championships last year. And the 6th round, she would send one out there. And she watched that Nemeth fly over the 60-meter line, 197 feet, 4 inches, and she finished 3rd last year. She would finish 3rd again this year. But it was a senior from Rice, van der Woesthuizen, who would take the victory in a very, very exciting women's javelin.
That's got to be like one of the deepest top 4 ever, top 3 certainly. 197.4 to 199.8. Very, very good throwing all in the last round. Exciting competition in the javelin. All right, well, that concludes day 2 of 4 from the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Field event streaming begins at ESPN Plus at 2:45 p.m. Eastern with the start of the heptathlon. Then join us later at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 for the men's finals. For Lara Overton, Dan O'Brien, and John Anderson, I'm Dwight Stones. Good night from Eugene, Oregon. All games airing on ESPN Networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. So long, everybody.